Hello, listeners and readers of AwardsWatch.com. This is episode 255 of the Awards Watch Podcast. I'm your executive editor, Ryan McQuade. Joining me today is Dan Bayer.
Hello, everybody.
Josh Parham.
Hello, hello.
And the man, the myth, the legend, Jay Ledbetter.
This podcast is changing your life, or you're changing that podcast's life. No, it's changing mine. It's Blindside, baby. We're talking Blindside all day, all night. I can't wait.
Can't believe you pulled that.
I even got the quote wrong at the top.
Oh my God. Okay.
I'm rusty, Ryan. It's been a minute.
It's been a minute, buddy. I'll give you that.
What disrespect to the blind side, truly.
Yeah. I mean, yeah, like who, a movie that doesn't have any problems whatsoever that we won't talk about at all today, right?
Sterling
Josh?
legacy.
Yeah. One of the greatest, when it premiered to now in the 15 years since, we're all like, yeah, that's aged particularly pretty well. We're here to do another Oscar retrospective. We're going to do the films of 2009. 15 years ago. Where were you guys 15 years ago? Dan, where were you 15 years ago?
I was working still. No, not my first job. I was working for an off-Broadway theater company while living in Connecticut. So commuting 2 hours each way between work and home every day. Not in the position I am now where I live in New York and can see all these great movies, but really had to make time on the weekends to try to see everything that I wanted to. But this was a good year. It was the first year of 10, solid 10 this year before they went to the sliding scale. And that was an exciting time.
Well, the first year of 10 since the 1930s, if I'm not mistaken. So
40s,
the
1940s. Yeah.
So, this is all kind of in response to movies like The Dark Knight and Wall-E and things like that nature. Not getting
more so The Dark Knight.
More,
I know Wall-E does technically get thrown into
some people get it,
but
I was being respectful, Josh, to the people that are Wall-E stands out there. But I think it's 100% is the wrath of this movie made $1 billion. It was the movie of the year, and then didn't get in for the fucking reader. You know what I mean? So that's what we're talking about here. It's like the Academy went out of their way almost to not nominate that. And so this is the response. And
and we can argue over whether or not the response was required given movies that were nominated for Best Picture this year.
Flawless lineup.
I think generally speaking, the shift to 10 has been good because it has allowed the Best Picture nominees to be more reflective of the year in film as a whole.
I agree.
That's been really great.
And I feel it is better than a sliding scale because I always thought a sliding scale was also a cowardice way out. Just make it 10 or 5. Don't 8 or it was always 8 or 9. It was never 7. It's just like this. It was stupid. The sliding scale. And when we talk about those in coming years or whatever, we're not going to add anything. We're going to keep it at those 9, but or maybe we will. I don't know. The rules change a lot around here. Josh, where were you 15 years ago?
15 years ago, I was in college. So that meant that I was living in the downtown Chicago area at that time. And so it was very easy to see a lot of these movies because a lot of them were just walking distance from my classes. And I do look back on that time with obviously a lot of nostalgia. And I think 2009 in particular, when we look at the Best Picture lineup and this being the first year in this modern era where we expanded it, I know that there are bad movies here, obviously, but to be honest, I actually like this lineup overall. And even something like The Blind Side being in here, I think is still interesting because this is a very diverse group of movies. We have all different kinds here where there are small indies, there's giant blockbusters, there's kind of this weird other small science fiction thing happening. And there's broadly appealing, kind of family entertainment. And we can argue on the quality of all these films, but I feel like this is what the 10 is supposed to do. It's supposed to provide a really diverse selection of movies that are up for this award. And I think that it has been inconsistent sometimes with them trying to get back to that. But just on the surface, I actually do appreciate what they went out to nominate here. And I think that this actually should be the standard. Of course, a lot of these movies in this lineup came out in an environment where they could make the money they could, like The Blind Side would not make that money today. I mean, unless they skew, more towards the
I don't know, Josh. We've seen movies like this over the years, like even an American Sniper for one, where it's a phenomenon that makes a ton of money and it kind of weaves itself into the fabric of it.
That
and that's
movie's
why it's
10 years old now.
Yeah, so, I know. I mean,
it's a lifetime ago at this point.
A movie like The Blind Side now is, I don't know how much it gets made, or it's picked up by a streamer at this point. And streamers were not a big thing at this point 15 years ago. So, it's a different time. But I think that's a lot why it got in, not just because of Bullock, but because of the fact that it made a decent chunk of change at the box office.
Huge hit. It really was.
It really was. And that's the thing, is most of these movies made some money. I wouldn't say like an Education.
Ironically, not the Best Picture winner.
Yeah, not the Best Picture winner, or even like an Education, but most of them, I mean, you have the sort of, duel this year is between the smallest film or at least box office wise in The Hurt Locker versus the biggest film of all time in Avatar, so and then there's all these movies in between that were like, where audiences were still picking and choosing and finding things that they wanted to. And so it is a very fascinating 10. Jay.
Yeah.
Where were you 15 years ago, man? And what do you think of the lineup?
I would have been a junior going year of high school. Okay. And this was peak, like me staying up until 3 a.m. watching movies. And this was peak. Every shitty blockbuster, I'm going to the Thursday night midnight screening. I'm going back when you actually had to go at midnight, when you really had to put the work in.
Do you have a memorable one of the shitty films that you saw?
For some reason, the one that I remember most is Terminator Salvation. Okay. I remember I was like, this is gonna rock, and then I watched it and I was like, that did not rock. that did not rock. But,
have you changed since? I know that you went back and watched some of those Terminator movies.
Yeah, that movie still stinks. Okay. I really was thinking.
But you know what? I will at least say it's the only one of the sequels that tries to do something different.
It's better than Genesis.
I agree with you there. It's just so drab looking. It looks so bad.
It does.
I mean, it's a failure, but I do agree it's the most interesting of the sequels, especially since like
since Terminator 2.
I guess the most interesting sequel anyway. Yeah. Post Cameron. I'll tell you the other memory I have that's really locked in is I was on the baseball team. We had a bunch of summer baseball tournaments, and my coach one day was like, "You like movies? What's a movie we could go see as a team?" And I was like, "There's this new movie out called Watchmen. I kind of want to see. We should go check that out as a team." And then not only did we go as a team, he also brought his like 7-year-old children to see
Jesus.
Watchmen. Oh my God.
There's like a rape scene in the first 30 minutes, right? Like,
so
that's
the Leonard Cohen sex scene.
Yeah.
Although to be fair, I absolutely hated that coach. So I finally got one.
Good Lord.
But that was funny. I don't know, just watching everything. It was fun. This was me kind of coming into my own as a movie viewer a little bit. I mean, obviously watching a lot of older stuff too, but I was trying to see everything I could this year.
So the PG-13 shackles were off. The restrictions.
By the time I was 18, those had been unlocked.
Cool.
Correct.
Because and I'm not trying to make a joke out of it, but like you were sort of like a late bloomer in terms of being able to watch, content.
Yeah. I mean, by now I can go to whatever movie I want on my own. Yeah, I'm going to see Inglourious Bastards like 3 times in the theater, and et cetera, et cetera. So,
this is a big year. I was a senior in high school. Met my wife, started dating her.
Congratulations.
Yeah, I know, right? So top that, everybody. But
first date was to The Blind Side.
No, it wasn't. We did go on a date to The Blind Side, actually. Our first Jay knows this. Our first film that we saw together was the Downey Jude Law Sherlock Holmes movie. That was actually the first one we ever saw.
All right, I got to interrupt you because I just had like a trauma flashback here. Oh my God. So I went on a date to Up. I went on a date to the film Up. And in the first 15 minutes, I started.
You didn't want to take. Wait a minute. You didn't want to take your team to Up, but you were like Watchmen totally for them. Up is a date movie.
Whatever. It was like
your judgment that year was wild.
This girl, let's go see Up.
Yeah. Okay.
So
all right.
We see Up. I start crying in the first 15 minutes. she doesn't talk to me for the rest of the time. And then she is like, you are embarrassing. Like she was like, I can't deal with this. I mean, not literally, that's not literally what she said, but you could tell
it's like in her soul what you were getting back from her.
This is done.
This is why straight men are encouraged to repress their
exactly. This is like this is what the Hurt Locker is about. Anyway, carry on. I'm sorry I interrupted.
Thank you, buddy. I was already a couple of years deep into being fascinated with the whole season, obviously, and I saw every one of these films in theaters. I have a distinct memory of seeing pretty much all of them. District 9 was one of the crazier theater experiences I saw in my adolescence. Like people were screaming for every explosion. I remember seeing The Hurt Locker by myself. In like a room full of like 6 people in a 200-seat theater. So I did help the box office with that. I remember Inglourious Bastards being one of the also great theater going experiences. And this was obviously the start of sort of the revisionist history within Tarantino's filmography. And I mean, we're all going to talk about it as this episode goes on, because it's such a big film in his filmography and so celebrated. But when they kill Hitler the way they do, it was a rock concert in my theater. It was, and this was young, old people were like losing their minds. Like they didn't think you could do that anymore. So, and yeah, The Blind Side was exactly what it was. It was a bunch of, the conservative moms and dads. And
I know a lot of people who were in The Blind Side. Filmed in Atlanta. Like a lot of people who were just in the background of, Tim
McGraw?
Cheerleading and stuff. Yeah. Me, McGraw, Caviezel, we kick it all the time.
Here we go. That's just director watch.
We call ourselves the fellas.
Okay. But no, I just, I remember.
You're going to tempt me back into Daily Wire shit again.
Yeah, if you just keep it up, you really just
we just met the fence.
If you listen to Director Watch, there's been a lot of Caviezel talk.
Yeah, between Tony Scott and Thin Red Line, there's honestly been too much. Within a
the greatest auteurs know how to take advantage of Caviezel. Let me tell
you. Anyway, it was a good year. I really enjoyed a lot of it. It was also about like discovering a lot of international cinema. I felt like I saw more. I started building up, seeing like 100 or so movies within a year of new releases. Now, I mean, we all probably see what on average, like 200 a year at least, right?
Absolutely not, but a lot.
You see at least 150 to 200.
I say
right?
Probably like 150 is probably where I sit.
It's probably
not this year though. Good grief.
No, you're on behind big time. But it was a big year. Obviously, well, actually, I know Dan and Josh can answer this question. I want to ask Jay. Jay, did you actually watch the Oscars in May 7th, 2010? And do you know, without looking it up, do you know who hosted it?
Okay, so this is the Hurt Locker Avatar Oscars. So the year before, if that was the Reader, that would have been Hugh Jackman making the Reader jokes.
That's correct. Mm-hmm. This is good. This is good for him. All right.
So I'm doing the math in my head here. So this would have been 2010.
What was the next year? Do you know the next year?
The next year's hosts?
Yeah. It's pretty big.
The debacle Franco Hathaway year?
You're correct. All right. Okay. He's doing good. He's doing good, folks.
Yeah.
All right. So now I've got the 2 pieces of bread. I got to find the meat in the middle.
You got to get the meat in the middle.
Meat.
Yeah.
Think about what one of the big holiday releases was this year.
Jay, you've also seen this. You've seen this movie, Jay, this year.
I've watched this movie this year.
It'll be also relevant, wink, wink, potentially to some stuff that we do later in the year.
Is this, oh my God, holiday release this year? Wink, wink. Was this Steve Martin?
Mm-hmm. And maybe somebody else?
And Alec.
Yes. And Alec Baldwin. Yeah.
Let's go.
They were.
I think I watched. I don't remember.
There's no way you didn't watch. Everybody watched that year. It was a big year. Almost 42 million people watched the Oscars that year. That was big for them. I know Jay's not going to remember like monologues and stuff. I thought they did a fine job. I don't think that they were like. It was hard to follow up Jackman. Jackman was so goddamn good. And that was probably one of the best Oscar hosting jobs of our lifetime, for sure, what Jackman did. And I thought Martin and Baldwin did okay. Like they were fine.
Steve Martin is an automatic 6 or higher. Like the floor is a 6.
Yeah. Like, it would have been better if he didn't have also Alec Baldwin. If
I think
Martin had just been let to be Steve Martin,
because he's done that before and he's been great.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
What's Baldwin been up to the last couple of years?
Jay.
Let's not go there.
God damn it, Jay.
I haven't seen him in much lately.
Oh yeah, you wonder? Maybe do a Google in the middle of the show. But yeah, it's we talked about the sort of the year and the way in which it encompasses, I think a lot of different types of films. I think it's a good representation of the movies that came out. There's also a lot of films that we'll talk about in the games that potentially we're going to want to replace or move off of some of these singular performances for sure. I also know that our great friend Kevin Jacobson and AwardsWatch contributor and also co-host of the Oscar Wild podcast, Nick Rockraft, they just did the actress episode over for And the Runner-Up Is for this year, and that was a wonderful episode, one of the craziest Q&A segments that Kevin's ever had on that show. So we can only live up to that. But for anyone that's never listened to an Oscar retrospective episode here for AwardsWatch, what we do is we play the shoulda, coulda, woulda game. But instead, what we have done now over this year, and the team loves it, is we have done now a team vote replacement. Essentially, we will go through the top 8 categories, and every category outside of Best Picture, we have up to 2 replacements. We pick as a group what those 2 replacements are, and then we can potentially pick a new winner based off of the new crop of nominees. Since this is a new lineup for Best Picture in terms of the number, because every one of these, for the most part, that we've done has been, I think every one that we've done, it has been 10 up to, or I'm sorry, 5 up to this point. We haven't, did we do 2018? Dan, you were on the 2018 one last year, right? Didn't we do that last year? Or no? We didn't do that. Maybe I'm wrong. I'm confused.
I think no, you guys did do 2018, but it was the old way of everybody just talks about their own.
Oh, okay. So we didn't make the switch yet. We didn't make the switch yet. Okay. So I was just wondering, because I wanted to make sure that when we put this new rule in for going forward, we didn't break old precedent. But anyway, we are going to, with this expanded lineup of 10, have up to 5 films, half the lineup we can replace. And then, of course, pick a new Best Picture winner if we want to. We're also going to talk about, right now, the below-the-line categories, the tech categories. This is something our beloved Josh Parham has asked us to do going forward. And I kind of like it, Josh, because then we can talk about some of these craft categories, some of these interesting nominees. So I'm going to kick it over to you to start, Josh, if that's okay. Was there a tech category this year that maybe frustrated you or made you very curious? What category would you like to talk about first, my friend?
Well, the one that I wanted to talk about was Best Costume Design. And the one that I really wanted to shout out was Bright Star.
Yes!
And it's so funny because the movie that wins is The Young Victoria, which is another like English period piece movie. But it just is like so standard. It's what you would expect in that category. And like even Sandy Powell said, like, I don't deserve this. Even she openly said that.
Her third Oscar
Bright
win.
Star, her third Oscar win. And like, we love her, but she didn't deserve that.
No.
And Bright Star, yes, is also a British period piece, but those costumes are, one, just so much more creative. They're so vivid and stylish. And they're also integral to the plot because so many of them are made by the main character. So they are an expression of her artistic sensibility, which is really important when she's also in this world with poets and she doesn't feel like she can live up to that same standard, but this is what she does on her own. So because of the fact that they are so bright and vivid, but also important to the actual plot of the movie, I think that deserves all the recognition in the world. And I think that should have won the Oscar for costume design. It's one of the best costume designs ever in any movie, in my opinion.
Yeah, you guys got thoughts on the costume design category?
I'm so glad you brought this up, Josh. Bright Star, Hive, Rise Up.
Yep.
I am convinced that, like, because this was still in the period of time where Like if both Sandy Powell and Colleen Atwood were nominated, one of them was winning. It was not a question. Yeah, the young Victoria, they're very nice costumes.
Yeah.
They're quite lovely to look at. They're very intricate, all that fun stuff. The Bright Star costumes are freaking incredible. Although if I'm giving a vote in this category, I would vote for the Imaginarium of Dr. Parnassus because those costumes are freaking insane.
Yeah. The whole vision of that movie is insane.
Yeah.
Jay, do you like
I love Bright Star. I was actually really one of the things I was excited about in this episode was to be the Bright Star defender, but now I see that there's
you are in good company here.
Yes, we are there are dozens of us. So
no. And none in the Academy.
Great
apparently.
Film, great costumes. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, like it's a pretty, I mean, like Coco before Chanel, even 9, like it's kind of just like safe layups. You know, I know that it got some love in other categories. I think like the costumes and even the Sherlock Holmes film that was potentially even up there as well. It doesn't seem like I don't know. Are there other films that you guys potentially think could have made it in here that you guys would have wanted to? Just
Glorious Bastards, I would.
Glorious Bastards, yeah, for sure, yeah, for real.
I always kind of wanted the Harry Potter series to get a little more love in this category. I think they have a lot of good things there, and Half-Blood Prince is one of the best crafted of those films. But the one that I always thought like maybe in this category, but it was kind of like it was a question to me whether or not this actually falls into costumes or not, but Where the Wild Things Are.
Sure.
Ooh.
Yeah.
Because technically.
Is that costumes? Is that production design?
Yeah. Visual effects too.
Yeah.
Right. Exactly.
And
yeah.
I think,
just like across the board.
I think the Sherlock Holmes movie actually has good costumes.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Hey, Jay,
completely
you know
agree.
who just said that?
Oh, somebody just said that? No, see that's I'm a fiend for that.
On Director Watch, it's like hello.
I had that in my mind like 5 minutes ago, and then I was like, nobody's gonna say it. I got this locked and loaded.
I also would have.
I didn't say it, so clearly it hasn't been expressed.
Hold on, Caviezel's calling me. I'll be back in a second.
I would have also. I just always love the style and the era piece of A Serious Man, and I think that those costumes are always great, and what the Coen brothers are always their attention to detail. And Education's an interesting one too, of like it has extravagance, but it also it's like how big would they want to go there, and yeah, there's no like really modern film here in particular that like sort of conventional pick for like us to go like, oh my god, hopefully they break them all, but like even back then they weren't going to pick something contemporary in these categories. Are still very hesitant to do that, so that's for sure. Dan, is there a category that you'd like to talk about here real quick?
Yeah, actually, because I think this is a fun/funny one because we don't often get, even in this period where Best Visual Effects wasn't always 5 nominees, it's rare that we get 3 sci-fi movies.
Yeah.
And that's the only thing we have here. And we got Avatar, District 9, and Star Trek. And this is one of those times where like, obviously Avatar was going to win. Like that was the biggest gimme in like any Oscar ceremony ever, perhaps. But I'm always curious, like, if you guys would have differed on the other 2 for District 9 and Star Trek, because I really like the work in District 9, but I would have happily replaced Star Trek with Where the Wild Things Are.
I would have replaced Avatar with Where the Wild Things Are.
Okay, we don't need to go crazy Ryan, right now.
It's clearly the third in the category.
Oh, come on,
Ryan. And I would have given it to District 9. I think what they did with that budget and the visual effects in that movie.
Can't grade on a curve, though.
No, but I think it also is about like what you can do with the materials that you have. And I mean, like that's the Ex Machina fucking campaign against, that's, I mean, the visual effects, though, in District 9 are fantastic. And they are
No, they're good.
On par with anything else you're going to see in the year. And the Avatar, listen, I love The Way of Water. I'm on record of turning around on Big Jim, but I think Avatar, the first one, is an eyesore. And it has not aged well.
Maybe now
it hasn't aged well.
I'm with you, Ryan, on that. But it was inevitable.
I'm saying, I obviously knew it was going to win. Everybody knew that. Dan is absolutely correct. But if Dan opened up the question of what would we do for this, and that's kind of what we're doing here, is just kind of talking about this. I think that people were in awe too much and didn't see that it's very. I don't know.
You talk to anybody in that industry, they will be like, this is a leap forward, the likes of which we haven't seen in 20 years.
And it was.
But then you watch it now and you go, shit, this isn't any worse than the Phantom Menace.
Like,
you know what I mean?
It's been 20 freaking years.
It's obviously not going to look as good, but at the time,
it didn't look good then.
No.
It's kind of like Ryan. It's like the first time somebody ever slam dunked in basketball. It probably doesn't look cool now because we got people doing like between the legs dunks and stuff.
Yeah. You were like,
the basketball.
Oh, like in semi-pro, like in the movie Semi-Pro, where they're all like, oh, the alley oop.
Oh, that's illegal. That's a technical.
That's a technical. What do you do here?
It's a real,
No, I mean, like, I get it, but also like I was the person, I didn't go see that movie in 3D and wasn't blown away or wasn't 3D pilled as most people were with this movie. And so I went
era, the 3D
and I went and saw this movie just in regular form. And I'm like, this is just gobbledygook. And so, and it didn't help that it also has a terrible script and all that, but it was all improved by the sequel.
I don't
Sequel's
care
way
for that
better.
movie. I'm with you, but
yeah.
I'm curious if anyone would stick up for 2012 in this category.
I mean, I am.
Yeah.
Yeah,
like that.
That's a layup, Josh.
That's a movie that's mess, but it's also like it's mess because it has to be.
Yeah.
Like,
I would stick up for Watchmen in this category, personally.
Well, the visual effects in Watchmen are pretty amazing.
Below the line Snyder's in this era is actually not bad. It's script and
just for the record, I know I've been talking about Caviezel and all that stuff.
Yeah.
And I brought Watchmen up a couple times. I don't like that movie. Okay, I'm not a Snyder head. I have to draw the line. Somewhere.
Is that a Watchmen poster behind you?
Oh, God, it's a Watchmen poster. You caught me.
No, and I think Star Trek is a good nomination. It's also a really good movie.
Very good movie.
But I will also not hear anybody say anything like, please, for the love of God, nobody say like, oh, but Revenge of the Fallen should have been in there or something like crazy like that. Even though
it's also wild to me that no one talks about the Star Trek movie anymore.
Well, it's because that French
good.
The first one's good.
It's real good. Yeah.
It's also like trying to be like a continuation, but also be its new thing as well. Mm-hmm. I think also too, like, because those movies kind of declined and how much money they've made, they're sitting in this weird purgatory. And then there was the whole like, will Tarantino make the fourth one or whatever? It's like they don't know what to do with it, and it's weird.
Well, it's also in hindsight, like Star Trek fans don't like that movie because it's too Star Wars-y. Star Wars fans don't like it as much because it's Star Trek. So it's sort of like instead of being all things for all people, and then he had nothing for no one in particular.
Yeah.
But then there's Into Darkness, and people either really like
bad.
I like the third one.
I like Justin Lin did that one.
Nice.
The third one is the best one of the new crew, in my opinion.
Yeah, and the Peg script along
Idris
with
Elba and makeup.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, he's in makeup.
To me, that's the one that actually feels like a Star Trek kind of story.
That's what they say.
Like an
I'm
adventure.
not a Star Trek. I've never watched any of the old Star Trek, but that's what they say. It's like it's about exploration and
it is.
Yeah. So, all right. Jay, is there a below the line category you like to talk about?
Always cinematography for me is to me my favorite category of every year, and this year speaks to kind of the philosophy of what is cinematography and what should we be rewarding in the art of cinematography. Obviously, Avatar won here. It's a little bit similar to when Gravity won, where it's like, yes, this movie is obviously gorgeous. There is very purposeful camera work here, but 75% of it is done in post-production. So I'm not really sure what I should take away from this quote unquote cinematography. So I kind of just want to go around the horn and get a sense of what it is about Avatar cinematography got it a win, and then also like what you think of that as a winner.
I think it's a bad winner.
It's pretty images. That's what it just comes down to. Like
Right.
that's what people normally associate with this category, and because it was winning visual effects, its imagery was on a lot of people's minds.
Art direction.
And I understand why it won because of that. Yeah. I will just say the guy who did shoot that movie, he is an alum of my undergrad, Columbia College in Chicago, so I do have to give a little bit of respect for that, but it would not be my winner. No, I don't think that particular type of cinematography that really was dominant for a while, it's not my favorite. And yeah, I understand why it won, but I don't personally endorse it.
I like the other nominees in the category, honestly.
I actually think it's a pretty crummy list of nominees.
Oh, you do?
Ooh, wow.
You do?
Harry Potter's whatever. I mean, Harry Potter looks good for what it is.
I love Duvanel's.
I think there are some really good looking movies in this year that aren't nominated here.
I'm shocked that Deakins isn't nominated for A Serious Man. That
movie's astounding
so
looking. The one
good.
for me that I'll just stick up for is A Single Man. I think Tom Ford just makes such a good looking movie.
Yeah.
I think
the Wild Things Are again.
Where the Wild Things Are looks so freaking good. I defend the Avatar win a little bit because I think that again, like the way James Cameron shoots action is just so good, and a lot of that is, with the actual people. There's not, in some of those things, there's not a lot of digital trickery, but overall, I still don't love its win here for what it meant for the category. But Where the Wild Things Are is just like the disrespect shown to that movie throughout this award season. It still gets me angry.
I don't think the last time it'll be brought up today, if I had to guess.
I think
the one piece of cinematography that I will stick up for this year, and yes, I am a man stan, and no, people don't like
Public Enemies.
I think Public Enemies is really good, and I also think the way that movie is shot is what makes that movie so interesting.
That is what we call a hot take.
I like that.
It is the juice behind that movie. It is the oil to the fire of what I love so much about that movie. And yes, when you watch it the first time, you are like, oh, this looks what's the word I'm looking for? Bad. But then you got to take it in the context of the messaging of the movie, and daring to shoot a period piece in that way, which I think has been done since then. But I think it was pretty revolutionary at the time, and I think
it was at the time.
Makes it very visceral. I think
that's a word for it.
I was even in 18 years old. I saw that and I was like, yeah, this is good. Everybody likes this, right? That was really good.
Well, it's worse also in 2009 because it's shot on digital, but we still have film prints, so it really looks bad when it's converted that way.
The other big sort of thing for me, I remember from this year, Dion BB got a lot of love for 9, and I was a little surprised when it didn't make the Academy Award nomination list just because it had done so well. And the lighting in that movie is pretty great. But
I don't love that movie.
That fucking movie. Good
that
Lord.
whole movie is such a retread of Chicago that I cannot condone.
It's such a
worse in every possible
I will
way.
say this, and if this is the 9 corner, we're going to talk about it here real quick, so we can get it out of the way, because it ain't going to be brought up in the top 8 categories. Well, it might. It
has to by nature, but
it could get eliminated. Who knows? Is that
I'll never eliminate my sweet Penelope.
One of the great trailers I've ever seen in a theater.
Yeah.
In the height.
Yeah, it's a good trailer.
Yeah, have you ever
trailer? How about the
Cinema Italiano one?
Yeah, but the just the buildup of it, using the Be Italian Fergie song, and just the cutting, the editing. You were like, okay,
we didn't have to hear Daniel Day-Lewis speak, yes,
or sing. You know what I mean?
Oh my God.
Listen, I love DDL. I love me some DDL. Yeah. That is by far.
This was not a shining moment for him.
This is probably his worst performance.
Why did they not have Banderas do it so he could get his freaking Oscar?
Here's a question.
I don't think Banderas could have saved it. I don't think that anyone could have saved that movie. Let's not think that just because if Rob Marshall would have hired Antonio Banderas, Rob Marshall's decisions as a director would have not still cost that movie. Oh, you mean the guy? Jay, what was your favorite song last year from
Did he do Little Mermaid?
He did. So that means he did the what, Jay?
What is that song called?
The
Scuttlebutt?
Yeah.
Oh my God. Just a crime. An absolute felony crime. He should
Jay,
be tried at The Hague.
Jay, which one's worse for you? 9, Mary Poppins Returns, or Little Mermaid?
Well, I haven't seen 9. So
okay. So which one of those two?
Little Mermaid's worse than Mary Poppins Returns.
Okay.
Oh,
that's
no
okay.
question.
But I have a question, a philosophical question on. So if we can give Avatar a cinematography nomination, why can't we give Fantastic Mr. Fox or Coraline a cinematography nomination?
Well, this is my other thing.
Questions to ask. Yeah,
this is like because they gave Avatar the win in fucking art direction.
Yeah,
90% of that is computer generated shit, and
this
animated movies
gravity
never
stuff, right?
get nominated here.
It's very silly.
And like, come on.
Yeah.
Well, they have bake-offs for that stuff, right?
No,
they don't.
I don't think they did then. Yeah,
I don't think they did then. Okay, because like you literally, if you've watched any behind the scenes of the first Avatar and the second Avatar, they're literally in giant warehouses with mocap suits and like scaffolding, and they build around them in the computers. That's why it takes so fucking long to make those movies.
I'm fine with that still qualifying
with
for
that.
production design. It just means that traditional animated movies should qualify too.
Yeah.
Agreed.
Yeah.
Especially one that's like a stop motion, meticulous piece put together by
those
Wes
sets are
Anderson.
Actually built.
Yes.
And there are real elements interacting with
It's almost
them.
like we're dinging movies for being practical.
Exactly. I did want to talk about animated feature actually. Because I think that it's a really interesting film. I think it's a really great lineup, of obviously various studios, but obviously Up won this. I'm not a Pete Docter guy.
I am not either.
And I think that the better film is Fantastic Mr. Fox, and this should have been Wes Anderson's first Oscar.
I would have gone Coraline for me.
Coraline,
I could go for either of those two. Yeah.
Coraline is though the one I wanted to talk about, which is a movie that is currently heating up its re-releases this year at the box office.
Mm-hmm.
And this is,
it's spooky season.
It's obviously it's spooky season, but this is the what is it? Leica Studios, right?
That's a Leica.
And this is the but this is the first film in their sort of run, and they've been a consistent presence for the last 15 years, both off of this and like Paranorman and what was it?
What was their first? The Box Trolls? Was that the first one?
No, Coraline was the first.
Coraline was
the first one.
Yeah.
And then they had no, I guess Corpse Bride technically counts as that.
No, Corpse Bride that's just
Burton, that were they just part of that a little bit?
I don't think they had anything to do with that. That was like a Warner Brothers production.
Oh, okay. Because their name's on it.
Well, maybe they were maybe they assisted with some of the animation,
some of the
but in terms of being like a
but Jay's right,
production company.
The Box Trolls is there, Kubo and the Two Strings, Missing Link, just a couple years ago. So, they've been around since 2005. So they've been around 19 years, 20 years next year.
And Missing Link was their last movie.
Yeah, Missing Link was 5 years ago. I mean, they
got
do
another one coming up. Nike Jr. Travis Knight.
And that's
the only time we're happy with a billionaire, doing what they got to do. Bail your son out to make these weird movies.
Yeah, exactly.
Money.
I can't believe
throw money in the fire, making keeping
this is built off the back of Nike. Yeah, it's crazy.
This is what billionaires should be doing.
Yeah, they should make art.
Or give money to people to make the art.
Well, that's what Big Jim's doing. He's just like in his little submarine making these Avatar movies. Left and right now, right? He's got to be a billionaire, right?
Jim Cameron? Yeah, for sure, I think.
Gotta be, yeah. But anyway, no, I just think that's in The Secret of Kells and The Princess and the Frog, which was like their return to the princess films over there at Disney.
Hand-drawn.
Yeah,
their last hand-drawn animated film.
Yeah.
Exactly.
And it is beautifully animated.
Mm. Yeah, and it's Musker and Clements.
Going on the Disney cruise here soon. Our room is Princess and the Frog themed.
Oh, well, there you go.
Yeah.
All right. That should be interesting for you.
Was it previously Brer Rabbit themed?
Yeah, it used to be Song of the South. It used to be called the Uncle Remus Suite. Recently changed.
Jay, you have to send photos of your room.
One thing about that is that people don't even remember that that's what that ride actually was.
Exactly. They don't.
No, even when it was before that, they didn't know that that's what it was referencing.
Jay, is that your favorite Disney song?
Yeah, I've got it on like illegal VHS.
How much did you pay for that? Because like nobody has that, by the way.
I know the right people, man.
All right.
But back to animated feature for a bit.
Yeah, for a quick second.
Because I need to talk about the lack of Mary and Max in this category, because that is the actual best animated film of 2009. And it's appropriate now because Adam Elliott's next film, No More of a Snail, is going to come out soon. And please let us fix this horrible oversight from the Academy and give the man the Oscar nomination he deserves. Mary and Max is so freaking devastating and beautifully crafted. That movie floored me when I first saw it, and I still love it.
Yeah, I think Memoir of Snow has a good shot of a nomination. I don't think it's.
I hope so.
Doesn't seem like a shot at winning. It seems like there's two big movies in its way in order to.
Yeah, no, it's not going to win, but hopefully it'll get nominated.
There's an Inside Out 2 and a Wild Robot in its way.
Inside Out 2 stinks.
Jay, have you seen Wild Robot yet?
Far, but
I haven't seen the Wild Robot yet.
I think you'll really like it, buddy. It's really good.
The Wild Robot is so good. Bring tissues.
Good. I'm looking forward to it.
Yeah. All right.
I went on a 15-minute rant at work about why the mechanics of Inside Out are absolute nonsense.
How fast did the room clear out?
I got glowing reviews from everyone. I got promoted that day.
Oh, cool. Good for you. It was the opposite of what I thought was about to happen to you. I thought they were going to be like, collect your things at your desk and get out. Let's do the top 8. Let's do the game. So let's do adapted screenplay to start. The winner was Precious, based on the novel Pushed by Sapphire. District 9 and Education, In the Loop, and Up in the Air. All right, guys. We can replace up to 2. We don't have to replace 2. I feel like we will replace 2. But I like some of these nominees. I like most of these films still. But yeah. Jay, you want to start with what you would take out, maybe?
Yeah, I think the 2 that I would take out, I think Neil Blomkamp, I think I would say his strength is not on the writing side of things. I think his movies are often very trite and straightforward and obvious. So I would take out District 9, I think. And the other one that I just think continues to feel staler and staler with each passing year is Up in the Air. That to me is just something that feels outdated, the year after it came out. And I don't think it's a bad movie by any stretch, but it is interesting to see it so represented in these big 8 nominees. So those are my 2 picks.
Yeah, I mean, Up in the Air is one of those things where I can't get why it was such a big deal in 2009, because it's right after, the recession hits, people losing their jobs is very much in the culture. And so it feels very prescient. I did rewatch this movie. I still think it's pretty good. It's not like one I would ever say is amazing, but I do enjoy it. I don't mind that nomination. I'm not attached to it. I do agree about District 9 that can go. I'm just not a Neil Blomkamp fan in general. Even District 9 I thought was very overhyped in my opinion, and I'm not a huge proponent of that film, and especially the writing. That one can go. But between like Up in the Air or honestly like Precious, either one of those I would be okay with losing. But the other 3, yeah, we can keep them. Definitely get rid of District 9, and then either Precious or Up in the Air I'm good with.
Dan?
This is a tough one. I don't necessarily want to take the nomination away from any of these. I think District 9 is there for the story, for the plot, as opposed to the dialogue. Yeah, the concept.
It's about apartheid.
Yeah, I know.
I didn't know if you guys caught that or not.
An alien invasion. Ooh. And I'm fine with that. I think that the least memorable screenplay for me is An Education, but I don't want to take that away either, because I think the dialogue in that, just like I think some of the dialogue in Up in the Air is really, really sparkling and well done. But that said, I will absolutely take one of them out, although, don't ask me which one now, to replace with Where the Wild Things Are. And I'd really like to replace another one of them with A Single Man, frankly.
I think there are some good other options. I mean, I think Coraline is an option there as well.
Fantastic Mr. Fox is an option. I will not.
Yeah, and honestly, The Informant.
The Informant, I was about to say.
That's a really fun one.
The Informant, exclamation point.
I would take out District 9. I agree with y'all on that. Like, I think the movie is very good. Don't get me wrong, but it's the vision, and it's more of an idea rather than like, and like Dan, you were saying, feels like that was nominated for pushing the plot or just the idea rather than like what's actually on the page, which.
Yeah, since he wasn't getting in for director.
Yeah, I feel like that's like, okay, well,
it's not for its crackling screenplay.
Exactly. The other one I would throw out, and I know everyone's going to get very up in arms here, potentially. I would throw out Precious. And I'm
not totally opposed.
I think that Precious, it's dealing with a lot of things that for me have just not aged well with that movie. I think that movie is torturous at times, and that is the exercise that it's dealing with. But for me, it's not a movie that is particularly aged well. Its screenplay is a bit messy.
I don't like the structure of that movie.
The structure is a bit all over the place. I think its movie is made up by the performances, and it works for for those reasons. But in spite of a pretty generic paint by numbers screenplay, and also the still just questionable directorial decisions by Lee Daniels, who will be replacing here shortly. So I think it's a bad winner in terms of 15 years. Like at the time I understood why it won. Now I think it hasn't aged well. I understand what you guys are saying about Up in the Air. I think because of, obviously the recession, I think of also Reitman was on a hot streak at this time. I understand why he got in. I still think it's one of his better films. And I think the Clooney character specifically, obviously the main character, is written particularly well. And I think In Education's a really well adapted film. And I think In the Loop is the best screenplay in the category that year. I think that's, it's as funny as still now.
I rewatched it.
And obviously given how Veep has played out over the last years, and also Succession, two of the big writers in television over the last 10 years have come from collaborating on this screenplay. So In the Loop is, and it's still insanely rewatchable and insanely funny, just about politics going on at that time period. So that's what I would pick, but I feel like we have District 9 out.
Out. And we keep talking about Precious. What is Precious based on?
Oh, it's based on the novel Push, Jay, by Sapphire. I don't know if you know
that. Precious, that's so based on the novel Push by Sapphire, is actually adapted from the novel Push by Sapphire.
Yes. I honestly believe that is what helped it win. I honestly
think the joke of it, like the joke of the title. Like,
I honestly believe that was an influence. That they
because it sticks in your
based on another thing, and like, oh well, it's adapted. It's telling me it's adapted. Yeah, I'll vote for it. I genuinely believe that.
No, because seriously, at that time, it was even more than today. People are very simple, and it's something that just can like worm into your brain like that, right, Josh? Like then you can. You remember it went on the final vote,
Genuinely, I think that movie won because it was the movie that they liked best that wasn't Up in the Air. Because if you remember, there was a huge controversy about the authorship of Up in the Air.
That's right.
Even though they like kind of settled it very amicably between the two of them, or at least appeared to, the movie's stock just like plummeted after that controversy,
because it premiered at like the film festivals and people were like, this is the film,
Yeah.
And it was like, I remember it being one of Entertainment Weekly's films of the year. And and it was like, oh, okay. And then when we got to award season, it started to not win a thing.
Well, it peaked early.
It peaked early, big time. Yeah. But then, having some controversial things happen against you, and then, campaigning and everything. But
no, it was a surprise, actually, that Precious won this. Everybody thought that this was going to be the one Oscar for Up in the Air, and then
well, that Reitman would finally get his, because he had Juno. He had Thank You for Smoking. Yeah, he was. I know it's a joke to kind of joke on him now, because he's been making Saturday Night.
It's very interesting how big of a punching bag he has become.
Well, yeah, I mean, like, he's made some really bad movies,
but yeah, I haven't seen Saturday Night yet, but
I like Saturday Night. But I don't like his Ghostbusters movies. I think that those are trash.
What do you mean?
No.
Let's save that for another podcast.
No, he brings this up every week on Director Watch. But yeah, he has become like, I don't think it's necessarily because of his comments or views or anything. It's just because it's easy to, I guess, dunk on a guy that's...
Well, also, it is, in hindsight, Juno is the most dunk-onable movie.
But that's not because of him. That's because of Diablo Cody's screenplay.
Well, and that's also the first 15 minutes of Juno.
Yeah, it's really just the first 15 minutes.
Yeah, like Home Skillet and all that stuff, and the hamburger phones in the first 15 minutes.
Your ego is Prego?
Yeah, that's in the first 15 minutes. And then it becomes and actually just like standard.
It does just capture a moment in time of writing and art in a way that is easy to make fun of.
Exactly. So are we taking out Precious or Up in the Air?
Precious are the two.
Both, yeah.
I think that's fair. I think we can keep Up in the Air. And so, all right.
I'm good with that.
We got to replace two.
Where the Wild Things Are.
Where the Wild Things are.
Okay. Where the Wild Things Are. That was easy.
We can debate on the second one.
I would like to put a Fantastic Mr. Fox. I think that, I know Wes Anderson just won his Oscar for Adele adaptation, but I think that this is still arguably his first or second best film. Either this or Tenenbaums for me. And I mean, it's so goddamn good. And it's the best animated film for me this year. And I didn't understand why he didn't get nominated for this. It's a wonderful adaptation. I know that there's other films. Well, it's a heavy year.
They gave the animated movie nominated.
Yeah, but like Pixar, this is but this is the right one. You know what I mean, Josh?
I mean, we'll have a conversation.
Have us talk about that here in a second
when we get to that.
But yeah, that's what I would throw up. I don't know, but you guys.
I will toss out A Single Man.
Yeah,
I think that's a really just gem of an adaptation of that story, and it's not just about the dialogue; it's about the actual the visual direction that it would be in the screenplay for that movie. I think it's some very strong stuff happening there.
Yeah,
I was also going to say Single Man.
I would throw out The Informant, but I'm good with both of the ones that y'all have called out.
What I mean, The Informant's
really good too.
Scott Burns, yeah, love it.
What a fucking movie! God, just one of the all-time.
I think Soderbergh had two good movies this year.
What was the other one that he had this year?
Girlfriend Experience, which I think is quite good.
That's a pretty good movie.
Very good recession movie.
But the Informant, my God, just one of Matt Damon's best performances. Just builds and builds and builds on this very, very stupid man. Yeah, it's an incredible performance. I remember seeing that in the theater, and just as it kept going, I felt both the humor of it and the exhaustion of being around this character. And I think that that's a testament to the writing and also just Soderbergh, man, he never misses. So, but it sounds like it's A Single Man, which I have no problems with whatsoever.
I'm good with that.
Awesome.
So we have A Single Man, Where the Wild Things Are. We have An Education, In the Loop, and Up in the Air.
The winner is In the Loop.
In the Loop.
In the Loop. Yeah. In the Loop.
I would say the same.
That is a movie that screenplay is that movie.
I quote that movie.
Buckety bye.
Yeah.
Difficult, lemon, difficult.
Love Actually.
It is. It's one of it's so great. No, there's nothing you can really say about it. Otherwise, we'd be quoting lines for the next 20 minutes
forever. Yeah.
Yeah, it's a perfect win.
Gandolfini, man.
Oh, Gandolfini so good.
Oh yeah,
the god,
so good in that movie.
Great in Where the Wild Things Are too.
I mean, honestly, Capaldi is fantastic as well in the film.
He might get mentioned later.
We'll get to that.
Yeah, we'll get to that here in a little. But yes, In the Loop is our new best adapted screenplay winner. All right, original screenplay: The Hurt Locker, Inglourious Bastards, The Messenger, A Serious Man, and Up. I will go first. The Messenger and Up are clearly the films I would take out, and that's all I need to say. I don't, like The Messenger is a movie. I haven't
even seen The Messenger. So
The Messenger is a movie that I still don't understand how I got in here. And Up, again, I'm not a P. Doctor guy. I think his ideas are super just basic. I don't like Inside Out. I don't like
I just
Soul.
think he's obsessed with
I don't
rules.
like Up. And I think that while the first 10 minutes of Up is astonishing, there's 2 hours still to go with that movie, it feels like. And it's the most basic adventure film between an old man and a young kid. And it's just the stupidest thing ever. So just don't understand it. Don't get the love. It's going to get replaced in Best Picture too, so just buckle up for that, folks.
You think the single stupidest thing ever?
Yeah, in terms of
one,
it's pretty close. It's one. I haven't
seen The Messenger, and I agree with you on Up. So I have no qualms with those two. I think the question is, what do you replace it with? Because I don't think it's a particularly deep crop.
We'll talk about that when we get. We'll talk about that.
I do think Up for me should go. I do feel like once we get past that opening, the story just doesn't make any sense.
No.
What is the conflict between these
Why
two
am
characters?
I here?
I just and it's with something that seems like it could be explained with just a 5-minute conversation.
An email.
Really understood
an email.
Yeah. So Up, I do agree, can go. I don't think it's the strongest story of the Pixar movies. The other one for me, though, that actually is the other weakest, is The Hurt Locker.
Wow.
I agree, Josh.
Because I think The Hurt Locker is a good movie, but it ultimately has a terrible screenplay. That movie's story is so segmented, it has no flow to it. There's I've rewatched it for the first time in a while, and it was still the same feeling of this story has something of a theme, but it's so muddled. Nobody has real arcs to them, and it's just so disorganized. And I don't think Mark Bowl, at least in this particular effort, is very strong here. So that's actually the other one that I would kick out.
Okay.
Dan. That's really the only one that I would kick out. I really like this category. I love The Messenger. I mean, I haven't watched it since 2009.
I was going to say, when you popping that one on every night?
No. And I will defend Up to my dying breath. I love that movie. The thing is that the strength of those first 10 minutes, yes, does really carry it through. And I think that's the thing, Josh was talking about, what is the conflict between these two characters? It's not so much about between the characters, it's the conflict within these characters that they're having with themselves. And that is the thing about that movie that really speaks to me, in addition to just all the a million clever ideas that are present in just about any Pixar film, especially around this time when they were in their, really golden age. I love that movie. It would not be my winner by any stretch of the imagination, but the only one of these that I would really remove is The Hurt Locker. I appreciate how it was written, and I think that plays a big part in why it got nominated and why it won. But for me, it just doesn't it doesn't work as much as the direction of that movie does.
All right. So it sounds like, The Messenger is out, because we have 3 votes for that between Josh, myself, and Jay,
I didn't
correct?
No, Josh didn't vote out.
No,
he
that was
voted
actually
he chose Hurt Locker
and
and
so it's
and
2
Up.
and 2.
So Up is out. No, because we have 3 for Up.
And I'll say this, since I haven't even seen The Messenger, I feel like you got to push the Hurt Locker out because my vote shouldn't even count for that one. I think we push out the Hurt Locker and Up.
I can see the look on Ryan's face. He is like, how do I get out of this? How do I get out of this?
I will abstain on my second vote then, I guess.
I just don't I just don't remember a damn thing from The Messenger, and I've seen that movie.
I mean, I'll be honest, I don't really remember either, but I don't remember the screenplay actively harming the movie like I think the Hurt Locker screenplay does.
I think you guys are being a little too hard on the screenplay for the Hurt Locker, but I'm not like also the biggest defender of the Hurt Locker, if that makes sense. So
get it out, make it interesting. Get the Hurt Locker out of
we
here.
We can also just take one out.
That's true.
Now,
I have so many original screenplay contenders, though.
All right,
I wish I
you know
did.
what?
For the content, kick it out.
You know what? I'll kick Bull out. I know Quentin Tarantino would like to do the same thing.
Yeah, he'll be happy about that.
So there you go. Well, so the Hurt Locker's out. P Doctor's out. Thank God. So it's A Serious Man, Inglourious Basterds, The Messenger. What are you guys thinking for
Avatar?
Shut the fuck.
I kid.
I don't kid about this one. I'm gonna get looks. I know that they are part. I'm gonna throw out It's Complicated. That screenplay is a hell of a lot of fun, and Nancy knows how to write a goddamn movie.
Good.
And so I would throw that as potentially, and it's one of her best films. I rewatch that movie all the time.
It's fun,
and
no, it's good. I like it.
I like it a lot. And and obviously, every Nancy Meyers movie is built off of 2 things: a glorious kitchen and an impeccable screenplay. So I will put that out there as just a film to float. It does not have to get in. I just wanted it mentioned here amongst the group. Josh,
you said one that never. Oh, go ahead, Josh.
Yeah, Josh.
Yeah, I have because to be honest with you, the only nominee that the Oscars picked that I actually have any passion for is A Serious Man. So I have so many other ones that I would have preferred, like Bright Star we mentioned. I think that is a really good screenplay. 500 Days of Summer, very fun concept that I really enjoyed.
That's what I wanted to talk about here in a little bit. Yeah.
I really love The Prophet. A Prophet is my favorite of the Jacques Audiard movies. In fact, it might be his only good movie, to be honest. Now that I look
honestly, honestly, A Prophet's a wonderful screenplay, and I would strongly consider that getting in here.
Yeah, I love that one too.
I wanted to ask the group about 500 Days of Summer because it's a movie,
little Juno-ish.
It's right. Like is it a little Juno-ish? Does it age well?
It defines
it's been 15
a period
years.
of time.
Specifically. It is very much a period of time, but I still find it to be extremely charming, though.
It's weird that it didn't get in because it does feel like,
considering how much love it got.
Yeah.
It has one of the worst final lines in film history.
Oh God, yeah. Oh,
what is it? I'm Autumn.
Oh.
Yes, I'm Autumn. Yeah.
I hated it so much. I rolled my eyes all.
So you know what? That actually disqualifies it from screenplay for me.
It definitely feels like Woody Allen for millennials.
Very much so.
That's good. Yeah.
But I like it. I mean,
it's a good movie.
It's fun. Yeah. It's fun.
Yeah, it's a good movie. It is. I do agree with Jay though. It is a product of the era, and that's just not a bad thing.
No.
But it speaks to the kind of independent screenplays that were being made at the time, in my opinion, in a certain section of those. And also it's a quote unquote romantic comedy, which made
quote unquote. It is a romantic comedy.
Well, I mean, like at times it's not very funny. But
arguably it's not comedy. Even a romance because she says
and that's the other thing too. It's not like even a romance,
and she never is.
But they're in a relationship.
It's a romantic comedy.
Yeah, but anyway, it's also like a big hit at the of the year too. Like it was.
I feel like that movie was pretty big when it came out, especially with
people were talking about it. Yeah. Mm-hmm. Josh, did you have some others?
I think the only other one I would mention is Moon, the Sam Rockwell, Duncan Jones film.
Yeah, Moon's
well, there we go. Yeah,
remember Duncan Jones?
So many great original screenplays this year.
Moon rules.
Yeah, Moon
does rule.
Freaking great.
Moon rules.
I will bring one more to the table. Oscars never would have acknowledged. I think Black Dynamite deserves some consideration here. I think that is a very clever movie. I don't think it will get in, but I want to give it a shout out. I think that movie's quite good.
Thank you, Jay.
Since Josh took Bright Star and Moon, I will throw out the now acknowledged classic Jennifer's Body, which got unfairly shat on this year, but
it was a little misunderstood when it first came out.
So much fun and has so much
classic.
quotable dialogue. So much quotable dialogue in this movie.
Speaking of Diablo Cody,
I was going to say it's probably got shit on a lot because it was Diablo Cody and it was the Juno backlash of it all.
Yeah.
Another good screenplay. I think
Drag Me to Hell after Juno, right?
Yeah.
Well, what did you say, Jay?
Drag Me to Hell, I think, is a fun
screenplay. Oh, that's really good.
Yeah.
I love that
Drag
movie.
Me to Hell is fun.
Yeah.
One of the best theater going experiences I have ever had. Watching that movie with a crowd was so fun.
Incredible ending.
Sam Raimi, best director.
Love how brutal it is.
Yeah.
Yeah. I forgot to mention this in adapted screenplay. I know that we're going backwards here, but I just wanted to give a shout out to Drew Barrymore's Whip It.
Yeah. I always forget that that's adapted.
I always forget that it's adapted.
Yeah.
Just that's a very rewatchable film, and it also and it's very good direction. It's not going to go anywhere, but I was just like, damn, like she should make more movies. Stop doing the talk show for a couple months and
Steven Spielberg would agree.
Yeah. Spielberg's like big time on her getting back behind the chair, and she should.
Oh yeah, he loved that movie. He raved about it.
Yeah, it's incredible.
All right, so Black Dynamite's in.
I also I also would throw out the movie that's basically mine and Jay's relationship. I Love You, Man. The screenplay.
Oh yes, I like that movie.
Yeah, I like that movie too. That's one of those like during the era of like the sort of Apatow comedy.
It is that Apatow. It's like all improv though. It's like
it's all improv. You can't
really
put it up there. But it's also like it's a really fun movie. And Siegel, Siegel and Rudd are great.
It's a fun one
in that movie together. So
Siegel, that was my guy.
Yeah, really.
I love Siegel.
When did you sell I was going to say, did you sell the stock?
Well, no, he just went away for so long.
Oh, okay. Have you watched
personal?
Have you watched Shrinking?
I like Shrinking a lot.
Okay, I was going to say.
Should have been nominated for End of the Tour, in my opinion.
Yeah.
He directed that whole AMC show that nobody watched. What was that thing called?
Oh, right. Yeah, the
Andre Benjamin was in it.
Oh, yeah, really? I forget what it was called, but it
when you start
like
off saying he directed the AMC show, like, okay.
Sorry, that was redundant. I'm sorry.
Yeah. You basically just put in too much information to answer your own question. Yeah. Okay, so we have to narrow this down. Sorry, Jay, I don't think Black Dynamite's getting in. What do you guys think out of those?
It sounds like Bright Star had some.
Bright Star.
Sounds like
Bright Star.
Okay, Bright Star, and then. What else, guys?
I'm gonna put my hand in for Drag Me to Hell now that it's been mentioned. I'm just gonna put it in.
I think 500 Days of Summer is the right answer, though.
From a historical perspective, I can understand.
Well, Dan, you look like you disagreed. So,
but no, I'm just. But also, I do like the idea of Moon because I love Moon.
Yeah, like Moon is the
Moon's
one.
Good.
Unless I can get everyone to come around to maybe Mary and Max.
I like all of these about the same, so I'm good with Moon if we want to go Moon.
Yeah, like honestly, I think if I were just picking one myself, I would actually say A Prophet. But for the consensus, I think I would be good with Moon. Like those are the top two that I would be going back and forth between.
Who am I okay with nominating? Duncan Jones or Jock Odiard?
Prophet is good though.
One of them's related to David Bowie and one is not. Keep that in mind.
Jock Odiard's related to David Bowie.
I mean, like I said, A Prophet was the one that I was more so sticking up for.
Duncan
Even
Jones.
though I do like Moon a lot.
Man, we're gonna have to talk about Warcraft one of these days.
No, we don't. No.
I didn't realize we didn't want people to listen to the podcast anymore.
I think it's between Moon and A Prophet, right? And I think Moon.
Moon it is.
I'm good with that.
Moon, good with that.
All right, so it's Moon and Bright Star, Inglourious Basterds, A Serious Man, and The Messenger. And those are our nominees. And obviously, Inglourious Basterds is my vote. I'm going to correct the mistake that the Academy made. And no, this does not mean I would keep spoiler alert for future episodes. This does not mean I would keep it in Tarantino's hands for Django Unchained. They got it wrong, and that was a total makeup win. And so when that comes, I will replace that winner down the road. That is that you have me live on the record, and Josh will definitely hold me to that.
Oh, you know I will.
Depending on also what we replace the other nominees with. He might even get replaced in there. You never know. It was a strong year for Adapted that year. Good. But Bastards, when you say that your movie might be your masterpiece, and then you kind of deliver that, and it's an impeccably written film, and I just watch that movie all the time, and I think it's one of his best. And so I'm going to throw that out there. I think it's built off his great dialogue. There's nobody like him that's able to build off that dialogue, and he makes choices here, whether you like it or not, that others don't. And
it's the start of alternate history Tarantino.
Exactly. And this is before it got maybe old or maybe too much or on the nose. It was a surprise, and it was a welcome surprise still at the time. And it's even juicier and delicious the more I watch it. So yeah. And I mean, Hans Landa as a character, on just that character alone, is so well written. And so yeah, it's Inglourious Basterds for me, guys.
In almost any other year, I would agree with you, Ryan. That's one of my like top 4 or 5 Tarantino movies, maybe my favorite script of his. But A Serious Man is, for my money, the Coen's best screenplay. And I think that it's just astonishing. I also, as a Jew, I'm kind of contractually obligated to vote for it. Yeah. But the thing is, I also genuinely would vote for it.
It's a great screenplay. It would be my second.
Yeah.
Here. Yeah. Josh?
Okay. I'm going to be honest. Inglourious Basterds is a movie that I like, but I do not love. And I have tried many times to find the love in that film. And actually, very similarly, I think it's also a movie that, like Up, kind of peaks in the first 20 minutes. Like, I love that opening, but the movie never really captures anything on that level for me after that. And
it never rises to that level, even in like the bar scene when they're playing the game.
I think the bar scene gets to a point where it starts to wear out its welcome just a little bit. It didn't.
Okay.
It gets back, but I do think it goes on just a little bit too long, and I find that with a lot of the writing to this movie. I think there are some good things in it, but I'm not a huge fan of the movie itself. For me, it's no question that my vote would be for A Serious Man. I think that there's some days I really do wonder if that is like my favorite of the Coen Brothers movies. I think it is so funny, but it also has this really interesting things to say about religion and your place within that particular community that, yeah, I'm not a part of, but it feels so specific and welcoming at the same time. I think it's incredible. I love that movie, and that would be my vote, hands down.
Yeah. Jay?
This is real tough because I do think Inglourious Basterds is probably my favorite Tarantino film. A Serious Man is maybe my favorite Coen Brothers film on a given day. And it's sort of this back and forth of what do you appreciate more? The like visceral, physical power of Tarantino's dialogue, or the thematically rich, subtle, biting humor of the Coen Brothers? And for me, there is something almost like aerobically impressive about the Tarantino script that I kind of just have to give the nod to. I think as just a pieces of dialogue and pieces of taut, thrilling cinema, where the entire propulsion of the film is coming from the dialogue and the structure and obviously the performances as well. But I think it all stems from that dialogue. And obviously, Christoph Waltz has ended up being like the best person at espousing Tarantino dialogue, so that helps. But
one of them,
I'm gonna go Tarantino by just the slimmest of margins. I'll go Inglourious Basterds.
We have a tie right now, folks, so we have to decide how to break this. I think that it's going to go to A Serious Man, because even though A Serious Man would be like second for me, and a second, like if we're going to do like preferential, I guess here, and it would be like second for Dan, or would be Inglourious Bastards, Dan, and then for Jay, A Serious Man would be second. I don't believe for Josh that Inglourious Bastards would be the second film in the running.
No,
and so therefore
ballot wins out.
It would not.
Yeah.
No.
So therefore, based off of that, I think A Serious Man wins. Which is
Abelman from the top rope.
Exactly.
Yes. I like this method of breaking ties, Ryan. I think
like that's a lot. Well, it went your way. But I see why.
I'm saying in general.
No, but I think that's. I think that's.
Yeah.
As opposed to arguing for 10 minutes.
Yeah, and like yes. No, I just think that based off of the conversation, that's how it sounded, and I don't think I'm not mad about that. Like A Serious Man rules. It's top 5 going easily. So okay, that's our winners. We have In the Loop and A Serious Man.
Good start. On a heater.
2 comedies.
2 comedies. Yeah. Best Supporting Actor: Christoph Waltz for Inglourious Bastards, Matt Damon for Invictus, Woody Harrelson for The Messenger, Christopher Plummer, The Last Station, and Stanley Tucci for The Lovely Bones.
Terrible category.
Y'all are gonna have to take this. This is like the island of misfit toys. This is like you get 1 nom. You get, this is one of your 2. Like I've seen one of these movies. So y'all take it.
The only good one is Christoph Waltz.
Yes.
But it's
also Harrelson.
Yeah, he is the other one that's like decent. He wouldn't make my lineup, but I'm fine with him staying.
Tucci's in for the wrong film.
He is. Yeah.
He is in the wrong film. Like, he should be nominated for Julie Julia.
Yes.
He's incredible in that movie.
That's the better performance. I don't know if it would be one I would advocate for. It is the better performance, but he is absolutely terrible in The Lovely Bones. So
yeah,
that's an easy one to cut.
And how dare you, Josh? Like, Stanley Tucci's a goddamn delight and one of the best performances of the year in Julie Julia.
Well, there's another category. I got a lot of people.
I know, but that section is perfect with him and Streep. Like, it's that movie is half. It is like, it's like the album Double Fantasy. It's
half a masterpiece and half meh.
It's like the album Double Fantasy. The Tucci and Meryl stuff is the John Lennon stuff. And then the stuff with Amy Adams is Yoko Ono. No, you skip over the Amy Adams stuff to get to the good stuff. You know what I'm saying?
Tucci's gone. We at least agree with that. Tucci's out.
Out of here.
I honestly would kick out Matt Damon.
Yeah, I would too.
Yes.
I think Matt Damon is the accent's terrible.
It's a bland performance. It is a nothing role.
It's a bland Clint Eastwood, just nothing performance. At least Plummer is good opposite Mirren in his scenes. He's
charming. Yeah,
he's Christopher Plummer. It's
just that screenplay is so bad.
The movie is not good either.
And we have to remember, this was his first Oscar nomination, so that's what all of the talk was. It's like, how has this revered actor never been nominated before?
This was the build up to then Beginners.
Yeah, I'm saying, I will let him keep this since it primes him to win for Beginners.
I mean, if Inglourious Bastards hadn't happened, this probably would have been the role Plummer would have won for.
Ooh, probably, because Harrelson was like the indie pick to get in.
Yeah,
but the fact that he got in and Foster didn't was kind of crazy. And then Damon
was campaign lead, right?
Yeah, he was, which is correct placement. But like, the whole thing about Invictus was it was Damon and Freeman. It was not going to be anything more.
It's just such a bland movie.
And then The Lovely Bones was like literally like one of those films from the beginning of the season that, like, before anybody saw anything, everyone thought it would be big because it was Peter Jackson. He wasn't, he was adapting this very popular novel, and then that movie was terrible. It's one of the worst films.
This doesn't happen so much anymore, I find, but for a while there would be kind of these occasions where somebody was penciled in so early in the year that even when the movie bombed, there was a resistance to get rid of them because it was just automatically assumed. It's like, well, we were predicting Stanley Tucci for so long, we still have to nominate him, even though nobody likes the movie.
This is like his performance. I would also just say too, Josh, it's just like, well, we like this guy. They haven't been nominated before.
Yeah.
We don't either the film's good or bad or just in the middle. Like you said, we're going to nominate it. But yeah, I think Tucci and Damon are the ones we can kick out. And I think it's starting to, the average for the category starts going up a little bit from that point. All right. So we have to replace it with 2 people.
All right. Which 2 Inglourious Bastards guys do we want?
Can I move slightly outside of that to throw out Ewan McGregor for I Love You, Philip Morris?
I have not seen that movie since it came out.
Not the performance I'd nominate from that film, but a very good performance.
Well, I mean, that's a very inspired pick, Dan. But I do have to say, like, first of all, we just need to say Peter Capaldi, I think, we're putting him in, right?
Yeah, we'll lock that in.
Is he supporting or is he supporting?
Well.
I would say it's supporting. I find that to be like
enough of an ensemble that he's supporting.
Okay.
Yeah,
if we choose that, I'm good with that.
I think the focus is a lot on Tom Hollander. To be fair.
To me, it's if anybody's going to be a lead, he would be the one. Right. But I would still say like everybody's just supporting.
He leaves the most lasting impression, but he's still kind of a piece of the puzzle.
Yeah.
Correct.
Yeah.
Capaldi is
okay, and put him in.
Yeah, so like that's locked in. So we're fighting for one more spot.
I was gonna fight for Gandolfini in supporting.
That's good too.
I do like him
for in the loop or for where the wild things are.
For in the loop. I mean, he's great in where the wild things are too.
Jay, what about Christian Bale and Public Enemies?
I mean, look, if you want to, I'm in. But I mean, let's just run through any of the Bastards guys. Do we want to put Pitt? Is not a lead in that movie, correct? He's supporting.
No, he's supporting.
Do we want to put Pitt, Fassbender, or Daniel Bruhl in? Any of those 3 speaking to anybody?
Oh, Dan's giving us a look of like.
I mean, I would also say no.
Pitt is the lead.
Pitt is not the lead of that movie.
Melanie Laurent is the lead of that movie.
He's the lead actor.
I would still even say that's another one where I think everybody's supporting.
Yeah, that's fair.
Yeah.
Okay. What about if I throw out Cy Abelman himself?
That was going to be my other one.
He's great. Also, Richard Kind is great in that movie.
Richard Kind is great.
God, yes.
I don't think the movie Me and Orson Welles is very good, but I do love Christian McKay.
Oh my God, Christian McKay is so good in that movie. Oh my God, I love him in that. Didn't he get like a nom somewhere? Was it at the Globes or Indie Spirit or something like that?
I think maybe an Indie Spirit. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, he definitely got one.
Yeah, this was like
nomination.
That's the other thing too. This was the 5.
Yeah, it was
from the whole damn year. Like just looking at that was a little nauseating, to say the least, because it's like you guys didn't like go outside the box at all. Yeah, I mean,
now is Zachary Quinto in Star Trek lead or supporting?
He's supporting.
I mean, Eric Bana would be supporting in that, right?
Yeah, but like Quinto
got nominated
for sure.
McKay got nominated for the BAFTA, by the way.
Okay, it was a BAFTA. All right. But I love Zachary Quinto in Star Trek. I think that what he has to do to reinvent Spock in a way that feels new, but also keep it traditional, because there's only so much you can do with that character. I think it's actually like brilliant work that is harder than it looks.
Yeah.
Another franchise movie that I was thinking of. I was thinking, is this the one you gave Rickman the honorary Potter Snape nom?
Is this not that or the last one?
Yeah, like it's one of those 2.
They just botched that reveal for him, though. Like, I know that's more writing, but yeah.
Yeah. BAFTA was Alec Baldwin for It's Complicated, Alfred Molina for An Education, Christian McKay for Me and Orson Welles, and the Tooch for The Lovely Bones. So even at so it was Waltz and Tucci that were the 2 that got nominated everywhere. So
okay, so we've got a bunch of people who we're fairly passionate about, but nobody who it seems anybody really wants to stump for terribly hard.
Outside of Capaldi.
Right, yeah, Capaldi's in.
We've already decided. I'll tell you my top 2. My top 2 are McKay and Quinto. Those are my top 2.
I would put McKay in. He's really great as Orson Welles. He really is.
That was a movie I saw, then thought absolutely nothing of, and have not revisited.
It's not a great movie, but he is the great thing about that movie.
You really should give it a rewatch. He's really good in that, Jay.
I know. You just. I know you're. I'm not a Linklater.
You're a lukewarm Linklater guy, though.
I'll watch that and Linklater. Not now.
Okay.
God damn it, Jay.
Not Link now, Link later.
Oh God.
All right.
And maybe Link never. I don't know.
Okay. All right. Okay. All right. All right. Jesus. Dan.
I'd honestly go with Melamed. Talk about like it skirts the line for me between being a supporting performance and being like an extended cameo, but he is so memorable.
He's a meme.
That you know part, what? Like,
let's go with them.
And I'm good with that too.
I'll link
he's
up.
Such a great character actor, you know. Yeah. Like he should have an Oscar.
It's a fun person to nominate.
Fun person to nominate. Yeah, for sure.
It's very like when Michael Lerner got nominated for Barton Fink. Kind of reminds me of something like that.
All right.
The Cohen trend continues.
Waltz, Harrelson, Plummer, Capaldi, Melamed. Those. All right.
Yep.
I
think the winner conversation is going to be.
I will give the award to Christoph Waltz.
Yeah.
Christoph Waltz. Like, come on.
Yeah.
Like,
even as somebody that doesn't love the movie,
like, there's no way. Like, there's nobody else. Like,
he's so good, but Capaldi.
I do like Capaldi as well. Like he's good too, but I think Christoph Waltz is amazing in Inglourious Basterds.
Yeah, the problem is for me that like he shouldn't have two, and I know this movie isn't the problem for that, but like,
we will address that.
He should have.
Yeah, this is the one he should have. You can't blame the other one.
Like there will be a Django reckoning whenever that episode comes up.
There will be other people that I will stump for in Django Unchained in the supporting actor category, and it will not be him because he is a fucking lead in that movie.
100%.
Well, he has far and away the most screen time in Bastards.
Yeah. But again,
it's still a fraction.
I remember that conversation happening. We don't need to get into
it. Yeah, we don't need to get into screen time. All right. We're keeping it with the Academy with Waltz. All right. Best supporting actress, Monique for Precious, based on the novel Pushed by Sapphire.
Oh, that's what it was based on.
Oh, yeah. No, you're welcome, Jay. Penelope Cruz for 9. Vera Farmiga for Up in the Air. Maggie Gyllenhaal for Crazy Heart. And Anna Kendrick for Up in the Air. Lineup.
I mean, do we have the Monique conversation?
Oh, you want to have a Monique conversation?
I want to have a Monique.
What conversation? How she's think she's the best out of this lineup.
I don't think she's bringing it in that movie, or I think she's bringing it too much.
Oh,
okay, that is something that we can talk about.
I mean, but that
not bringing it at all is Jay.
But that's like the requirement for being in a Lee Daniels movie. So like, that's just
true. Maybe that's the problem.
I can't wait.
Maybe she's doing exactly what she's being asked to do, but I don't like what she's being asked to do. And I think she is in some ways indicative of the problem I have with that movie at large, is it is so exaggerated in its misery at times that it is just like a stamina test at certain times without really while letting the audience off easy with these like, fantasy sequences. And I just think that movie's kind of a mess. And I think she is a part of that.
I agree it's a mess. I don't implicate her all that much, though. And I still find that performance, and I do most of the performances in the movie, to be really good. I don't blame them for the issues that I have with that film, and there's no way you can convince me to kick her out of this lineup. That's just me personally.
Right, but we had the conversation.
Yeah.
For what it's worth, I don't like the performance either, and I'm kind of with Jay. So,
but I'm not. But I wouldn't kick her out. Kicking out Penelope Cruz.
Well, go ahead. You can argue that all you want, Jay, but I would easily replace her in a heartbeat with Marianne Cotillard.
Oh, no.
Same movie.
I think Marianne Cotillard is way better in that movie.
I would replace her with Kate Hudson.
Yeah, someone literally rewriting the movie as they're performing it to be about a different main character. Like, she really takes that movie and makes it about her character as opposed to about Daniel Day-Lewis's character in scenes, which is what the greatest supporting performances do.
You know who's bad in that movie?
Penelope Cruz is Penelope Cruz.
Yeah.
That's what
she's very, very hot in that movie, and I will not blame you for that at all.
Person that's bad in that movie is Nicole Kidman.
Not one of her best performances.
Rob Marshall really wasted the shit out of her. in that movie.
You don't think Rob Marshall took full advantage of a talented cast?
I don't know, Jay. We'll have
you
to debate
first.
That. I'd take out Kendrick.
I would as well.
I would too. It's not my favorite of.
It's not my favorite. I think Farmiga's by far better than her.
I agree.
I can see that I'm going to get outvoted on this, so I'll just say that I think that she walks the line of that character feeling like too much incredibly well for someone with her number of years behind the, in front of the camera.
She types really fast. I'll give her that.
She does type really hard. Very fast.
No.
That character could easily come across as a joke, and in her hands, she's sort of able to keep it out of that territory for me.
No. She types with purpose, not fast.
That's right.
Thank you very much.
Yeah, I don't think she's bad. It's just that I have a lot more affection for Farmiga between the two.
I think her character and her time on screen with Clooney is the best stuff in the film, easily.
Absolutely.
And I'm gonna say it, Maggie Gyllenhaal, goodbye.
Even though I like that performance, but it wasn't worthy of a nomination.
I don't like the performance. I'm mixed on that film. That's another one that hasn't particularly aged. 100%.
See, I actually am sort of a Crazy Heart defender, but I would not extend it to Maggie Gyllenhaal.
No. I mean, I would replace everyone but Farmiga in this category. But I agree with Jay. I wouldn't kick out Cruz. I don't think she's bad in that movie.
Again, haven't seen the movie.
Well, you're firing it up tonight. And Monique, Monique
is staying.
Monique is staying.
She's not going to get kicked out. You know what I mean?
No.
But I think Gyllenhaal and Kendrick are the right ones to go. And it's just because I don't remember a single. I remember things from Monique.
Cruz. Whatever.
I don't remember. I do remember things from Cruz, and I remember obviously Farmiga's performance and Monique a lot more. Maggie Gyllenhaal, there's only one scene I remember her from that movie particularly where where Bridges loses the daughter, right, or her kid, her son for half a second, and she's just crazy, and the camera's going crazy, and
I don't think anybody's putting up a fight for Gyllenhaal to stay. So
no, so I think that those are the right ones, right, guys?
It's fine.
Definitely Kendrick.
I don't feel very strongly about really
any of these.
Personally, I actually do feel a little bit more so Cruz doesn't have that much to do, but
do you want to keep Gyllenhaal?
We gotta have her at the award show though.
No, I would kick out Penelope Cruz and Gyllenhaal, but
okay.
I think that would devastate.
You would keep Kendrick.
That's what I would do too.
Okay.
You would keep Kendrick.
That's fine.
Yeah, we can do that.
All right, Gyllenhaal and Cruz.
Cruz has an Oscar, and Gyllenhaal's she'll be back.
And as I agree with Dan that she's not the best supporting performance in that film.
All right, so we'll kick out Cruz and Gyllenhaal, and we'll keep Kendrick, Farmiga, and Monique.
Yeah.
All right. So who are we putting in? Is this Melanie Laurent time?
I've already said I've already said Marianne Cotillard for 9. I think that is the best performance in that ensemble, and she's incredible.
I'm not having two people from 9.
It doesn't matter. We're talking about quality of the performances, not quality of the movie. The other one that I would
I still don't want
to. The other one I would throw out very, very easily is Catherine Keener.
That's how I was going to throw her out there as well. I would throw Laurent and Keener would be my two. Melanie Laurent, I think, is incredible. Bastards.
I'm gonna pick someone from Bastards. I much prefer Diane Kruger to.
More fun, very small. That's the extended cameo kind of thing.
Her name is Julianne Moore, and she's in this movie called A Single Man.
Okay, you know what? I actually rewatched The Single Man. I gotta be honest, I actually didn't really like Julianne Moore in that movie very much.
I don't either. I'm sorry.
I felt weird about saying that too, but
it
did not really work for me.
Y'all are bad. What are you doing? You want to nominate Marion Cotillard for that? But you won't nominate Julianne Moore for that beautiful performance?
I'll consider it a double nom along with one of her worst performances in Public Enemies.
Yeah, she is terrible in Public Enemies.
She is terrible. I like that movie a lot. She is terrible.
Those two performances are from the exact same year because she's absolutely atrocious in Public Enemies and she's so good in 9.
Yeah.
Man.
But Melanie Laurent, I also think is great in Inglourious Basterds.
Yeah,
I consider her supporting, despite what the campaign said.
Yeah. Well, did they put her in lead?
They actually put her and Marion Cotillard in lead.
I think she is. If anybody is the lead of that movie, I think it's her. But
you can make that argument, but
you can push it either way. Yeah.
No, that was them trying to get both her and Diane Kruger nominated.
Okay. Diane Kruger is very good.
She's very good.
Yeah,
everybody's good in that movie.
I respond more to the emotion that Melanie.
No, for sure. Like she has a complete arc.
That scene at the restaurant with Londa.
Oh yeah, that's
just
a
when they're waiting for the whipped cream.
Yep, wait for the cream. Yeah, like
oh my god. Yeah, it's so
like just as good as the first scene in my opinion.
Exactly. Yeah, it's a pretty good movie.
Yeah, there's like 4 scenes that are that good.
That's not the whole movie.
Well, they make up a lot of it. Yeah, I'm just trying to figure out what else. I feel like we're going in circles. Okay.
Do we feel good about Keener? I know Dan and I
do.
We were out there. I think she's awesome in that movie.
It's a pretty small role.
It is
super small though, right?
It is. Yeah.
Like how many minutes?
I love Kathryn Keener.
Like I love her.
I don't think this is the deepest roster of supporting actress.
I would agree with that too.
Yeah. Kruger was also nominated for the Screen Actors
SAG.
But would anyone call me crazy?
Well, depends on what you say.
If I threw out as a suggestion, Mariah Carey in Precious.
I did think about that. I did consider it. I didn't know how strong the Precious.
If we would have replaced Monique, yes.
Her or Paula
Patton.
I would be more so for Mariah Carey, but
I think Paula Patton's really good in that movie. Rosamund Pike's really good in An Education, and so is also the one scene that
Emma Thompson.
Yeah, I was going to say Emma Thompson has in that movie too.
One we haven't brought up yet: Amy Smart, Crank High Voltage.
I'm just saying. This is why you're on here, Jay.
I'm just saying, she's really doing stuff in that movie.
Well, I mean,
it's a brave performance in a lot of ways.
Truly.
Well, Betty White in the proposal. Yeah,
I remember that she actually got traction for that movie.
No, people were really trying to push that.
Really trying to make that happen. I'm like, no.
Where she's doing that ritual with the Little John song. Yeah,
please, no. I remember that campaign.
What a year! What a time we lived in, folks. Okay,
man, I feel like we're not really close here. Laurent, can we agree on Laurent?
Laurent's in. I think
it feels like Laurent. Yeah.
Okay. You can do that there.
Enough support there.
Okay.
If y'all want Cotillard,
throw in.
I love Cotillard in a movie that I actually don't think is very good, but I think she is exceptional in that film.
Mm-hmm.
Just give a shout out.
Maybe the only good thing about
you know what?
it.
I'm going to fight back for Penelope again. We're going to put in somebody from 9. I'm fighting for Penelope. Haven't seen it.
Let's get Kate Hudson in there.
God.
Oh,
Kate Hudson's good in that movie.
The song is great.
Yeah, she's great. I mean, she's having a ball.
Is it a good song?
Yes, it is.
It's a song I wrestle with where it's like, I enjoy listening to it, but if somebody tells me this is terrible, I don't think I could argue against that either. Like, it's a weird song.
That's actually the tagline for 9. If somebody told me this was terrible, I wouldn't argue with them.
Yeah.
Really, if we're talking about Kate Hudson, then I have to say, like, no, because Fergie.
Yeah. Ooh.
One that just popped into my mind. Melanie Linsky's really good in The Informant.
She is.
I would do that. She's pretty good.
Throwing it out there.
Yeah, she's pretty good. I would do that. But it sounds like Cotillard has it, which is fine.
Mm-hmm.
So we would have Monique, Farmiga, Kendrick, Laurent, and Cotillard.
Not exactly the 27 Yankees up there.
Well, no, Jay, but there is a clear winner.
That lineup I actually do like a lot.
I like it much better than the one we have.
Yeah.
Obviously, Laurent would be my winner. Like, that's such a performance.
Monique, I can't. That final scene with Mariah Carey and Gabby Sidibe is just, that's all-timer stuff.
It's something.
Yeah, my vote was also going to be for Monique.
Well, if we're going preferential, I think Melanie Laurent's going to win this one. If
It sounds like it. Yeah.
If we're doing the same strategy as before.
I mean, Cotillard would be my second in that case. Like,
well, Monique is my fourth.
I think Monique is lower on their list though than Laurent.
Farmiga would be my two.
I don't know, because like Farmiga would be my third, and maybe then I would get to Laurent.
And then I would do Cotillard, and then I would do Kendrick, and then I would do Monique. Monique would be my five. I don't like the performance. Get it out of here. If we had a third, that would be the person I would replace. Even though Kendrick.
So essentially, what we have are two people who love Laurent and don't care for Monique, and two people who love Monique and are like Laurent but don't.
I like Laurent, but weirdly enough, she would be my fourth or fifth in this lineup.
Right.
Okay.
Well, Josh? But I wouldn't rank her quite that low. So
okay. So it sounds like
Laurent gets it.
Melanie Laurent is going to win Best Supporting Actress for the movie called Inglourious Bastards.
Yeah.
So
Bastards has the 2 supporting awards.
Yep.
As it should.
Didn't get screenplay.
As it really should.
Yeah.
Like that's where, really the bus should stop.
Tarantino, no Oscar yet though.
No. Well, he already has one.
I know, this year.
Hey, we're getting there. We're getting there. Hold on.
Yeah, we'll get there.
I don't know if he's going to win.
Josh seems stoked.
Best Actor, Jeff Bridges won for Crazy Heart, George Clooney Up in the Air, Colin Firth for A Single Man, Morgan Freeman for Invictus, and Jeremy Renner for The Hurt Locker.
Well, Josh, Freeman can go.
Freeman can go.
That's
the
first man, and that's great casting. But
yeah, bye.
I mean, it's great casting. That was like 10 years too late.
Yeah.
Also, yeah, and it's also like he's fine in the movie, but it's not amazing. Yeah. In terms of the other person that I would kick out, honestly, I don't mind the other 4 actors. I think all those are actually very good performances for the most part. I think if I had to choose somebody, though, I probably would say Jeremy Renner, who I think is giving a good performance, just not one that I think is amazing or anything. So those would be the 2 that I would eliminate, is Freeman and Renner.
Yeah, that's what I would say. If we have to pick a second one after Freeman, I think Renner is giving me the least of the rest of them, but I would honestly still nominate him.
The only one I'm super attached to is Firth. I'm at peace with Renner if we get rid of Renner. I'll be the third vote on that one if we want to.
I would kick out Bridges. Seen that.
I mean, the Bridges thing is kind of annoying.
Crazy Heart, though.
We've seen
I think that's actually a really great performance.
We've seen that performance before. I don't actually think it's like a worthy win. I think he gets
a career win for him.
I think he gets a much better performance
or remember.
Yeah, I think he gives a much better performance the next year in True Grit.
I don't know if I would say much better, in my opinion. Like I said, I am the Crazy Heart defender. I like that movie. I really love his performance in it.
I don't know, Josh. Yeah, I like it. I like it when that guy Jeff Bridges works with these 2 guys called the Coen brothers.
Well, this is kind of who he is for the next 10 years.
Yeah, it's the Robert Duvall syndrome, which is you win an Oscar for playing a country star, and then every role you have after that is Southern, whether justified or not.
Yeah, exactly. He also should have probably won 2 or 3 times before winning, then you won. Yeah. That's it. You know what, Josh? That's a perfect comparison there.
Yeah.
That's why we keep you around, but I mean, I kind of like Renner's nom because he was kind of unknown for the most part at this time. It's from this small movie. He's really good in it when he arrives in it. I think then the moment it wins Best Picture for a lot of people is that moment in the supermarket. And I think that there's a lot that he does within that movie. And I think he's really good in it. But I mean, and while I'm not a fan of Bridges, I know I'm outvoted here. And I think that's fine if we got rid of Renner. I would not get rid of Clooney or Firth. Those would be the 2 that I would keep.
Not my favorite Clooney, but he's good.
Not my favorite Clooney, but definitely.
We didn't talk about Evangeline Lilly in supporting actress.
Well, and now we just did, and now we can go. So
I would just say, do we have to get?
No, we don't have to. We can.
I think we do, because I think there's a lot of good ones.
Yeah. I mean,
I got a list. So
I think we can kick out Renner, and I think that's okay. But
okay,
still a good nom.
I mean,
he has a better nom a couple of years later with The Town.
I think we've got one that will unanimously replace, and I definitely think we can find one that we like more than.
All right, so Renner's out, Freeman's out, Stuhlbarg's in.
Stuhlbarg is in, right?
Stuhlbarg is in.
Like, yeah, that's not even close. So now we have.
Yeah, I'm fine with that.
Are you sure, Josh? Are you?
No, I am. No,
Okay.
it's just there's one of those cases where I just have a lot of people. But yeah, Stuhlbarg is one of the reasons why that movie is so great.
Josh,
I'd like to bring to the table a film called Crank High Voltage.
Okay,
starring Jason Statham.
Hell yes.
I mean, he's so freaking good in that movie. I know I'm not going to get him in, but he's so good in that movie.
It is an inspired selection, but no, he would not be one I would necessarily advocate for. A big one for me is Tahar Rahim in A Prophet.
Yeah.
I think the transformation that character goes through, it was mentioned at the time, I remember, but it is very similar to something like Pacino in The Godfather, where it's like very meek and outside of the business, and then slowly the confidence builds, and then he is hoarding over this empire. I find it to be such a compelling role, and I think that he is amazing in that film.
I agree. Also like this guy that we replaced in supporting actor, and would throw in his better performance in the year, and that guy is named Matt Damon in The Informant.
It's great in The Informant.
So y'all like The Informant a lot more than I do.
That is a top 5. That's a top 5 Damon performance. He's so good in that movie.
He's so.
I'm more mixed on the movie as a whole, but he is genuine.
He's
fantastic and
great there. Yeah.
But if I had to pick one, in addition to Stuhlbarg, my vote would, in a heartbeat, go to Sam Rockwell for Moon.
It's a great performance.
He was another one I was considering.
That's good.
Dual role, baby.
That's
right. If I have to pick one, I'm going Nick Cage.
For what?
Port of Call, New Orleans.
Oh,
It's
Jay.
still dancing.
Because his soul's still dancing.
That's my pick. You want to talk about a guy making choices?
Holy shit, that's a good call.
I hate you for bringing that up. Oh my god,
Jay, that's great. Actually,
that's my pick.
Like the movie itself is good, but his performance is.
I think that movie's quite good, and he's
incredible.
Giving. Yeah, you want to talk about memorable performances?
Rockwell's great though too.
Rockwell's great. I'm going. Nick
Jay,
Cage.
you big Public Enemies guy here?
I'm indifferent. I mean, that would be like down the list for me. I do think. Oh, because of Depp.
Yeah,
I actually had Bale on my list as like co-leads, but
okay. Foster in the Messenger.
Depp would be sort of like a conflict of interest, as we are good friends.
Oh, okay, there you go. Yeah, you don't want to put him. You don't want to show too much favoritism. Is what you're saying. Okay.
I don't like this bit. I don't like this.
You're the one diving right into it, buddy.
I don't like where this is going.
Yeah, you cannot blame me for this one. Now.
Nope, he's done it to himself. He's done it to himself. Josh, what do you think of these outside of Depp? What are the people that you thought of?
I mean, yeah, I do really love Sam Rockwell and Moon. Like him and Raheem were the two that I was going back and forth on. I probably prefer Raheem a little bit more, but I would have no issue with Rockwell either.
God, it's so tough because damn it, he's good in that movie too, Josh. Raheem in A Prophet.
Yeah.
Rockwell, though, is incredible. It's kind of the resurgence of his leading man status career. It's kind of what gets him at the start of this new run he has in the 2010s by the end of this decade. That's tough. You guys got to help
some
me
heat behind Cage there, and then
there is also Cage, which is Josh. I don't know what your thoughts on that performance is, but it's a fantastic.
It is a committed performance. It really is. I don't know if I would place it above either Rockwell or Raheem for me personally, but I admire the swings that it takes.
I love that you mentioned it, Jay, because it's a hell of a performance.
I'll let it be. Of the other ones, I would go Rockwell.
Okay. Dan?
Yeah, Rockwell by a hair.
Okay. I think we're gonna go with Rockwell.
Yeah.
I love that I threw out Statham and Nick Cage. That really says a lot about me.
Yeah, I think that it does.
And it says good things.
Yeah.
Statham is also totally committed in that movie.
Truly,
So Bridges, Clooney, Firth, Rockwell, and Stuhlbarg.
That's a beautiful category.
That's
right?
a really
good lineup.
That's a good lineup. The winner for me is Colin Firth for A Single Man.
Yeah, as much as I love Michael Stuhlbarg in A Serious Man, Colin Firth in A Single Man is maybe one of my favorite screen performances of the early 2000s, like that whole decade. I think he's remarkable.
Great performance. I would put Stuhlbarg by a nose. I think he's so funny in that movie. And I think his just reaction in that final shot too is one of the great moments of like subtle physical acting of the last however many years. Firth, though, love that performance. Love that movie. We need to talk about that movie more.
We will.
And Tom Ford, I think people kind of turned on him because of Nocturnal Animals. I actually like that movie too. I think he's a good director.
Josh?
My vote is also for Colin Firth.
Okay.
I'm glad Stuhlbarg got some representation there in the vote.
Oh, I think he would. Yeah.
Firth is amazing in that movie.
Those are the 1-2 from that year easily. And we'll talk about
Stuhlbarg's number 2 with a bullet.
We'll talk about Stuhlbarg, or I'm sorry, A Single Man here a little bit more soon. Best Actress: Sandra Bullock for The Blind Side, Helen Mirren for The Last Station, Carey Mulligan in Education, Gabrielle Sidibe for Precious, based on the novel Push by Sapphire, and Meryl Streep for Julie and Julia.
Sandy B. Fuck.
We can keep her Helen Mirren. Why? Why are we doing this?
Yeah.
Why?
Those are like the 2 very easy cuts for me.
Bullock and Mirren?
Yeah.
I think so too. I think those are the easy ones to get out of the cut.
It feels very open and shut that they're
one's a supporting performance and the other one is one of the worst aged winners and written characters in the last 15
And the thing is, like,
years.
I don't think even Sandra Bullock is necessarily bad in that movie.
No,
she's doing exactly what is required, but
it's just that it's
she is making that movie feel a lot more legitimate than it should.
She's doing, and I'm not trying to say that they're the same thing, but she's giving her persona as a Hollywood actress the same way that Julia Roberts did with Erin Brockovich. The thing about Erin Brockovich, though, is that it's an impeccably no, hang on, Dan.
This is a good thing. Like I remember back in the day, someone likened this performance to like dinner theater Erin Brockovich,
and it's like no. Erin Brockovich is incredible and has aged impeccably, and so is the performance. And this is like every couple of months we hear more about this story, and it's like, maybe we should burn this from the record books. Maybe we should take this off the shelves and get other movies that have been lost in time back into the world. Like
I could go for an hour about The Blind Side. I think it is just like what that represents is evil. Like it is.
Yeah, kind of. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean,
can't argue.
Very much so. So it's gone.
Darn.
And so is Helen Mirren.
Yeah.
And we're left with Mulligan, Sidibe, and Streep.
Mm-hmm.
So we need to replace them.
Abby Cornish. Boom.
Yep.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay.
Without a doubt.
And then the other one for me, actually, the only other one that I had really was Maya Rudolph in Away We Go.
Okay. Thank you, Josh.
Oh, I like that.
She's great in that movie.
I was gonna throw out potentially Bullock's other better film this year, In the Proposal.
I was gonna throw out
that is a power of, like, she puts that movie on her back and carries it through sheer star power.
Yeah.
The one that really has my whole heart this year is Patricia Clarkson in Cairo Time.
I have not seen that film.
It is a tiny little movie that she is just a gem of like really subtle star power, beautiful acting in that movie. I have not seen it in a while, but the memory of her in specific sequences in that movie, I still think about it a lot. She's just wonderful in it.
Okay. Anybody else?
I have not. Away We Go was another one that just kind of washed over me, and I haven't rewatched.
It has issues for sure, but I think her performance in particular, I think, is just really incredible.
Yeah, I think it's one of Mendes's best films because it's not about any concepts, it's just about human beings, and or it's not about a gimmick or anything, like 1917. And I just think that, yeah, it's just this piece really about these two people that want to become parents. And Rudolph she's a great actress, and I don't think she gets enough showcase material to really do that because she's such a comedic force. And I think it's a really lovely performance. And I wish somebody, maybe the guy that she lives with, could write a performance for her to showcase.
Why has it not happened yet?
Yeah. You put her in your movies many times. Come on, Paul.
It's if you want my weird J out of nowhere pick for actress,
here we go.
Isabel Fuhrman in Orphan is such a good performance. She's so good.
I love that so much. Why did you not talk about Vera Farmiga supporting?
Okay,
I think she's amazing in that movie.
I think Jay might have brought something to the table that would be really fun to put in there.
Okay, yeah. I mean, I'll be honest. Like, I don't know if I would necessarily personally pick her over Maya Rudolph, but for this exercise, I do find that to be. It does tickle me a lot. I'm not gonna lie.
Let's do it.
Okay, so Isabel Fuhrman for Orphan.
This is like the studio sending goodie bags to all of the voters. I'm sending you all. I'm pushing,
sending them all the little
painting
around their necks.
Yeah, the little ribbons. Yeah. Who was our other one that we put in?
Abby Cornish.
Abby Cornish for Bright Star. Fuhrman for Orphan. Wow.
Hell yeah, brother.
Mulligan for An Education, Sidibe for Precious, and Meryl Streep for Julie and Julia. Also would have thrown in Meryl's other performance, and it's complicated too, just in the conversation. But her better performance got nominated. So all right, who are we giving the win to?
I am fully in the tank, and I'm just getting this out there because I feel like no one else will be on this train, but I think Gabourey Sidibe should have won. I think that the stark contrast, the wide gulf between who she is as a person and who Precious is much farther apart than any other actress had to do with their roles in this category. And she nails that bone deep despair and sadness. And she really, when she walks around, you feel this weight that she's carrying, this extra weight that she is carrying around psychologically, just all the time. How she's wearing this like armor and shielding herself from the world. That I think that performance is just sublime, and what she's able to do with really performing so far away from who she was and so far outside of her own experience, I think is pretty incredible. And one of, if not the acting achievements of the year in this category.
I would give it to this actress that, she's done some stuff in her career, but she gave a really good performance this year. And that's this lady called Meryl Streep for Julie and Julia. I think it's an all-time performance from Meryl. I think it would do a couple of things. One,
what does she sound like, Ryan, in that movie?
I'm not doing that here today. Thank you very much. I'll just sound like Dan Aykroyd. But I think that one, if you gave it to her here, we don't have to do that in 2 years. And the Academy wouldn't have had to do The Iron Lady in 2 years. I don't think that would have happened. But I truly think that if, for the sake of that movie, again, half of it is not very good. It's kind of a mess. But what keeps you interested, or at least me going back to it, is this beautiful, heartbreaking portrayal of Julia Child, of this woman who just has to go up against all odds to become a chef. And then there's these moments like when she is with her sister, played by Jane Lynch, and it's just these moments of quiet But the moment for me that always breaks my heart is when she gets a telegraph from her sister about her having a child, and it alludes to the fact that Julia Child was not able to have children. And she sits there at that table with Tucci, and she's like, "It's wonderful news. It's wonderful news." And she just starts breaking down. And I think it's so beautiful. I think that it's also like, yes, it's good. You could go very cartoonish with that performance, and you could say that, well, maybe she didn't get the accent right. I think of when I was, if you close your eyes, you would be able to tell the difference at times. I think that she's truly great, and she was in this run in the 2000s where she was trying again to get another one, and I think this is one of those performances that's aged so well, and it's one of her best. And if the Academy would have given it to her, it would have been totally deserved. And I do think she was, of the original five, I think she was the closest probably to the winner, because even though Sidibe's film was stronger, clearly a lot of the push was for Monique. And I wish Gabrielle Sidibe had gotten more work. Obviously,
she's working. She's on Prank Panel.
Cool. But I'm talking to the level of this. But I don't know. Like, I think it's one of Meryl's best, and I think she delivered a great performance. Plus, you factor in her work in It's Complicated. She had a hell of a year, and they factored that in with Bullock. I think too. She had two big hits. She also had one of the worst performances of the year with a Razzie win. Bullock did, but Julia for Meryl Streep, that would be my winner. Josh?
I would vote for Sidibe. I agree with everything that Dan said. I think that looking at the persona of her as an just regular, real life person, and then looking at what she does as Precious, it's like, yeah, this is an incredible transformation, especially considering that's her first movie. So it's not like she has formal training or anything. And the fact that you can deliver that right out the gate, kind of actually in spite of your director, it's even a bigger accomplishment when you're under the direction of somebody who doesn't have a great handle on tone. So yeah, she would be my winner.
Jay?
Sidibe is awesome. I think, to your point, being a real person in that movie in particular, I think, is a very hard thing to do. And she does a great job with it. And now she's great. Johnny Knoxville made a couch out of cake, and she sat on it, and she was like, "Is this cake?" And Johnny Knoxville was like, "Yes, it's cake. It's crazy." So she's doing great. It really is kind of damning to the industry that she is now on Prank Panel. Unfortunately, that sucks. But my winner would actually be Abby Cornish. I think that's an incredible performance. The chaste sexuality of that performance, is that a thing? Just the total pent up
there's no sex in that movie.
It's
those
just
characters
like
never get together like that,
grazing each other's hands and looking through sheer curtains and reading poetry, and it's like, yeah, I'm into it. And Abby Cornish, but Gabrielle Sidibe is going to win, and I think that's an awesome winner. I think she's really good.
Yes.
Yeah. Abby Cornish in that movie does a lot to try to make you forget about Three Billboards.
Oh God. She really is wonderful in that movie, and as is Jim Sturgis.
Yes,
the whole cast in that movie is just pretty great, as they are in most Jane Campion films.
Who's the really stupid girl in Three Billboards? Is that her or Samara Weaving?
Samara Weaving.
Yeah, she doesn't know the difference between, like, I don't know, deer and deer or something. I don't know. It's something really stupid.
Yeah.
It's something
also,
really...
Dan, I have to correct you because it is not Jim Sturgis in
Oh, wait,
Bright
no,
Star.
not just... Yeah, fuck.
No, it is Ben Whishaw.
No,
It's
Ben
Whishaw. How dare you?
I'm sorry,
in
I
front
could not
of
let
Josh?
that go uncorrected. So.
Yeah, wow.
Dan, he is in trouble here.
What if Ben Whishaw was in 21?
So, genuinely, I blame the Wachowskis for this, because ever since Cloud Atlas, I have never been able to keep Ben Whishaw and Jim Sturgis straight.
That's fair.
So I don't know. I think they look nothing alike, really. But I don't know, something about the way that movie utilized them both. I apologize to, especially Dan. To Josh, but also to Ben and Jim.
Was Ben Whishaw in any of the Tokyo sequences? in that movie?
No, he
Cloud
had the good
Atlas?
sense to not show up in yellow face for that one.
I was gonna say because if
Yes,
that,
thankfully,
you know what I'm trying to say
he got
there.
out unscathed. So.
Yeah, or I was like, well, let's see. Yeah, because I remember Sturgis went full on in that
That
sequence.
was a hell of a thing.
Sturgis, Hugh Grant.
Oh, Hugh Grant's
Hugo
even worse.
Weaving.
Hugh Grant's tough.
Yeah.
Hugh Grant in multiple sequences. Yeah.
Yeah.
So,
no, but fortunately, Ben Whishaw is not. He does not have that taint on him.
No.
With any of those images, so I'm happy about that at least.
Anyway, Gabrielle Sidibe is our Oscar winner. By the way, nobody said anything about Meryl. Only me.
But she's good.
She's good.
She's very good.
She's good. For me, this is the sort of period of her work where I always seem to feel like it's Meryl Streep performing a role.
Yeah.
They became movies,
and,
not movies with Meryl Streep in them.
Yeah. It was. It really was the. I mean, it's not.
Oh, they became Meryl movies, Jay. So
saying?
Yeah, exactly. They became showcases first and foremost for Meryl.
Well, yeah,
Streep.
but like that's her. That's like, but that's okay. Some of those can be good. Some of those can be great.
I think it's way less interesting than giving yourself over to the material or an interesting.
Well, even a movie like Bridges of Madison
where
County,
she becomes the voice of the movie.
Clint has literally said, like, I only made that movie because of Meryl Streep.
Yeah,
like,
the movie's awesome.
Yeah, exactly.
It's because
So
it's a Clint.
Performance. Yeah.
It's great. It's a very well directed movie with
Josh
ideas in it.
Yeah.
That Meryl Streep happens to be in, and she's amazing in it. I think I'm about to go on a Meryl run. We just watched that movie, One True Thing, the Carl Franklin movie.
Yeah.
And it's like
she is excellent.
She's amazing.
Yeah.
Like that movie. I think that movie's actually pretty good with a baffling like plot device. But she's amazing in it. And
you think she's good at her job, Jay?
I think she's really good at her job, except for like 2012 to 2018, somewhere in there.
Like the last kind of like decade.
Now I think she's back.
Oh, okay. But what has she done now?
I don't know.
Oh, okay.
The Post.
Okay. Oh, well, yeah, she made The Post in that time period, was what you just said. So anyway, best director, Kathryn Bigelow, The Hurt Locker, Big Jim, Avatar, Quentin Tarantino, Inglourious Bastards, Lee Daniels, Precious, based off the novel Pushed by Sapphire, and every time with you, Jay, and Jason Reitman for Up in the Air. I would like to take Lee Daniels out of this category.
I think it's pretty obvious Daniels and Reitman are
they feel like very obvious.
Yeah.
As much as I would like to take Big Jim out of here, I think that Reitman and Lee Daniels are the correct choices. Jay?
I agree. I think that's it. Okay. I think we're going to have a lot more trouble bringing the two in than pushing the two out.
Okay. So they're out. I would like to nominate Tom Ford for A Single Man and the Coen Brothers
option
for A Serious Man. So I like
Brothers Coen.
Yeah.
I would like to throw in Spike Jones.
Spike Jones for
Spike Jones.
My two are it would be the Coens and Spike Jones.
Those are my two as well.
Particularly Spike Jones. Like that is the one that I really, really feel passionate about.
A visionary film.
Truly. And just because I haven't seen anyone else mention him or this movie yet, and I think it deserves to be talked about a bit more, and I'll just throw it out because I think this movie is so much better directed than it has to be. But Juan Jose Campanella for The Secret in Their Eyes, which won the International Feature Oscar this year. That movie has no right to be anywhere as good as it is. He does some crazy things. That oneer through the soccer stadium is like really bravura filmmaking, and he didn't need to do that, but it makes the movie that much better.
Obviously Wes Anderson for Fantastic Mr. Fox would be someone I could consider in a broader five.
I think Henry Selick, Coraline. Should be mentioned.
Duncan Jones for Moon, and then the direction of that's just as important as the screenplay. Okay, well that's a little harsh. His dad's David
Jacques Audiard for A Prophet is another one that I really like. Yeah.
Yes. That should have been his Oscar nominations. And anybody else?
I think
Jay did mention Campion. So
Campion, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I think it's going to come down to Ford, Coen's, Spike.
Or can we talk about Michael Haneke and The Right Ribbon, or are we staying away from that?
Ooh, that's tough. Not necessarily one of my favorites from him, but I get it. Like,
Yeah,
that
but
makes
I have
sense.
passion for the other ones that we mentioned.
Yeah. Okay. So it sounds like Spike Jonze is in.
It sounds like
Yes.
Coens are definitely in as well, I think.
Yeah, so I think that means Ford is out.
Are we leaving Ford outside looking in?
Which is just
It's tough, but
that's tough.
Yeah.
That direction of that movie is so elegant.
It is, but I think
we also
that
gave him
Jones and Coens are better.
And we gave him the screenplay nomination, right?
We gave him a nomination in the screenplay, did we? No, we didn't. Did we?
Did we not? Or did we?
Look at this over again, folks. Why didn't I write this down today? Yeah, we did.
We did. Yeah.
But I would nominate him director.
I would like to say that yes, like he deserves both, but this is a really good field.
Yeah. I would rank him he does deserve it, but I would rank him still behind the Coens and Spike Jonze.
Yeah.
Okay. So Coens, Jones, Tarantino, Bigelow, Big Jim.
The lineup right there.
That's the lineup. Yeah. All right, folks. Where are we going?
All right. For me, this is very easily Spike Jonze is where my vote's going. Spoiler alert for the Best Picture conversation. This Where the Wild Things Are is my favorite movie of 2009. And I think a large part of that is because of what Spike Jonze does. And it's especially really incredible because you can imagine the very basic version of this movie, probably the version Warner Brothers would have wanted because they would have made money with it. But you can imagine like the 90-minute animated, bright, colorful, like very stupid version of this film. And instead, what Spike Jonze does is create a film that is all about looking back on your childhood through this nostalgia, but also like understanding the emotions that you were going through, but with the perspective and with the hindsight of adulthood. And I find it to be so just tender in that presentation. There's a lot of moments where it just feels like this perfectly captures the sensation of being a child. One of my favorite scenes is very towards the beginning of the film when Max gets into the fight with his sister's friends, and it starts very jubilant and it's so energetic and fun, and then the emotions turn on a dime and it's very like dramatic, and like that's how kids operate. That is how children behave, where things can be great but then terrible from one minute to the other with no stop in between. And he captures it so well. And I love just his entire filmmaking in that film. And yeah, there's no question for me that Spike Jonze would have my vote for Best Director.
Everything about that movie is so special, which is like why he wins it like just barely for me over the Coens. And simultaneously like just barely over Tarantino.
This is a tough one. I mean, Josh really brought the heat there on the case for Spike Jonze, and I do agree, but I think Inglourious Basterds, I think, is my favorite Quentin Tarantino movie. So I almost feel obligated to give it to Tarantino there. But you know what? I think Josh convinced me. I'm gonna go Spike just for the sheer vision, the singularity of what he's achieving there. You can always maybe try and knock Tarantino a bit for his use of pastiche, which is certainly present in Inglourious Basterds. There is nothing pastiche about Where the Wild Things Are. So I think Josh, I wouldn't have said that 4 minutes ago, but I think Josh did it.
Of these nominees that we have, I would go with Spike Jonze.
Wow.
I think he's
nice.
Clean sweep.
Wow. There's a reason why this man has a perfect filmography. Everything that Josh said is absolutely correct. I have to tell this
make anything but every 10 years.
Yeah, something like that. Yeah. Maybe some directors should learn from that.
Him and Tom Ford basically have the same cadence.
Exactly. When I saw Where the Wild Things Are, to your point, Josh, like I was one of 4 people and the other 3 people were a grandmother and her 2 young like grandkids.
It was also a very sparsely attended screening for me when I first saw this.
And so what was so interesting about that is like I think she expected like a looser film, right?
Yeah.
For those kids to like, like something from like Illumination. You know what I mean? Like something like they can be pilled into immediately and then she can take a nap for 90 minutes and relax. They left after 20 minutes. One, because the kids got restless and started running around, and I told them to like cut it the fuck out. But the other was like she knew that like this movie was not exactly what it was built out for. After that, when she left, I was sobbing nonstop. I think
that ending,
that book is so important. I think for specifically our generation. It was in like, that's in classrooms and and book fairs and all these things, and it's a movie about your imagination and the wonderment and friendship and all this stuff, and then he turns it into about self-doubt and mature, just these mature themes that are terrifying to a child and also terrifying to someone that is that's like 18, and even as an adult still very terrifying. And that's just kind of the beauty of his movies. And I watched Malkovich for 99, and we talked about that a lot. And I think we gave that the screenplay win. And then Adaptation I watched earlier this year, and I thought, like that movie's incredible. I think Her is still one of the best films of the 2010s. And I think that this is, this is like, it's weird to rank his movies because he's got 4 great movies. But this
would be my favorite.
This is like the one that I don't think people give enough credit to, because like it came and it was like
that.
It was like a couple weeks after Inglourious Bastards, and it was like before the festival rush. And I want to say it was like late August, early September. It kind of came out, and it was just kind of like here you go, here's this movie. And
because it wasn't the movie people expected it to be.
No,
it was better than what they expected, but they weren't ready for it.
I think people have appreciated it better over the time, especially obviously absolutely. This group, but and his direction is so specific, and that's what makes him pretty much a genius. He also hangs out with the Jackass guys all the time too. So like so
does Gabourey Sidibe.
So does Sidibe as well.
True.
There you go too. They've got,
get them in a movie collaborating together. I would watch that.
Yes.
Bad Grandpa, Dirty Bad. Was his bad or dirty? What were their grandpas?
Theirs were bad.
Yeah, they're bad.
Robert De Niro's
was dirty.
De Niro's dirty grandpa.
Okay. De Niro's dirty. Yeah. The fact that we had to just talk about that is actually the dirty thing on this episode.
I can't do
All right. Best Picture. The Hurt Locker won. Was Avatar, or as Arnold Schwarzenegger said at the Golden Globes, Avatar. The Blind Side, District 9, and Education, Inglourious Bastards, Precious, based on the novel Push by what, Jay?
No, interesting. I believe that was written by Sapphire.
Thank you. A Serious Man, Up, and also Up in the Air. There you go. We can replace 5. I think we can get rid of The Blind Side. Yes.
Yeah, very easily.
Okay. Easily.
I think we can get rid of
Up.
Mm-hmm.
I think 3 out of the 4 of us will say.
I would get rid of Up. Sorry.
So Dave. Up's out.
District 9.
I would get rid of District 9.
Oh no.
All right, we'll put a pause on that.
I wouldn't get rid of District 9. Avatar?
No.
I would get rid of Avatar.
I would get rid of Avatar.
I don't feel strongly about it.
The biggest popular hit of the past 10 years.
The Dark Knight didn't get in. I don't have to hear about come on. It doesn't matter about hits.
Do we have to keep it Up in the Air?
I'm not attached to it. Like, it could go either way for me.
We don't have to get rid of 5. We just can.
Honestly, of this list, the only one looking at it that I would really not nominate is The Blind Side. Everything else, I think, is more than not earned its place in this lineup.
Okay.
It's the only one that I would actively go to bat for, saying this one should not have a Best Picture nomination.
How about we do this? What are the ones that we would keep? Let's go with that. If you had 5, you could keep.
Well, definitely keeping A Serious Man.
Okay, so A Serious Man.
Bastards is going to stay.
Bastards. And then for me, it would be.
See, most of these are just kind of in the middle for me.
Hurt Locker, Avatar.
I would keep District 9 for me.
I don't think I would.
Yeah, I don't really like District 9. I don't like Neil Blomkamp, just in general.
I like District 9 a lot, though. Like,
I keep an Education.
I don't know.
We're now replacing 8, folks. We have to keep stuff
and Education.
in.
Education would be bottom 5 for me if we had to divide. But
what about the Hurt Locker? What are we doing with that? Are we going to keep it?
I'm fine with Hurt Locker staying.
I think you keep it.
I'm fine with it staying. It's not my favorite, but I get it.
Okay, so Hurt Locker, that's 3.
What do we do with Precious? Are we keeping Precious?
Bye.
I say bye.
Bye.
It can go.
Thank you.
I'm not
so attached. Yeah.
No, it's kind of
Precious, out, up, out, Blindside.
It's kind of like what it's. I mean, I didn't mention this a lot, but it's essentially what Erasure and American Fiction talk about is what the problem with Precious is. A lot those sort of novels and films that are made and they're raised up to a level of importance, and I think that they're actually a little quite bland and at part times a little offensive, but that's just my.
Well,
that's
so
just
I can
me.
Speak on that.
Well, no, we're gonna move on.
Okay. Are we giving an Education just like a shoulder shrug pass? Is anybody passionate about an Education?
I think it's
a lovely movie.
It's a lovely film.
Yeah, I like it. I like that it got nominated, but I don't think it especially needed.
Will we keep Up in the Air over it? Would you do that?
I would.
Okay.
I think I would keep Up in the Air over an Education.
I think that's about right.
All right, that's fine. Do we want to just boot out 4? Are we keeping District 9 or not? Dan and Ryan seem like they're pro, so I'm okay.
I mean, I don't have to keep it in. I just like the film.
Yeah, that's fine. If y'all like
but
it,
if I had to choose between that or Avatar, I'm keeping District 9.
So the ones that we are definitely kicking out are Blindside, Precious, Up.
Mm-hmm.
Are we kicking out an Education?
I think we said yeah.
Okay.
And that's 4.
So we have to decide between District 9 and Avatar.
Or we don't have to do anything. We can
just keep it at those.
No,
I'm fine with.
No, we would be kicking out 6.
No, we're kicking out
point.
4. We're kicking out Blindside, an Education, Precious, and Up.
Oh, so we're keeping everything else.
We could then just stop there and then still keep.
So leave Avatar
and District 9.
Mm-hmm.
And District 9.
Yeah.
Okay.
I'm fine with that. Yeah.
We can reassess this when we talk about some films that we would like to get in, and we can, real quick.
I'd like to bring to the table a film called Crank High Voltage.
Yeah,
right there with you, Jay. Right there with you.
I knew you were going to do this.
Talk about a sequel that really just hits
ups the ante.
Obviously, we're putting in Where the Wild Things.
Absolutely.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Are we going to give In the Loop?
Yes.
In the Loop was one
would.
that I was thinking of.
A Single Man.
A Single Man was another one.
Single Man.
Okay.
Bright Star was another one.
Yes.
I'm good with Bright Star.
Those would be my 4.
I think we might have just
those are 4.
Pretty dang quick.
Single Man, Bright Star.
In the Loop and Where the Wild Things Are.
Fine. Crank High Voltage doesn't have to make it.
I would consider
history will vindicate us.
Jay, I would consider taking Avatar out and putting Crank High Voltage in just for you.
No, you can't bribe him on the last round.
I'm just glad I got some orphan representation at the Academy Awards.
Honestly, that's one of the most inspired nominations we've done in this game so far.
Truly.
Like not just today, but in all rounds. Is there any other films that you would like to consider? Now's your time. The floor is yours.
The only other one
Fantastic
that I was
Mr. Fox
thinking
is there,
of,
Ryan. I know you love it.
Fuck yeah, Fantastic Mr. Fox not getting in over, and no animated film. We just kicked out all the animated films, unless you want to count Avatar as animated, because it's made basically all in a fucking CGI creation. I would kick out Avatar or District 9 to get Fantastic Mr. Fox in.
The only issue for me, though, is that I would want another animated movie in here, but my allegiance is with more so Coraline than Fantastic Mr. Fox. So I feel like we're just at a stalemate with that.
And mine would be with Mary and Max.
Exactly.
And that would lead to, and Jay would be the tiebreaker. Crank High Voltage.
Yeah, I'll negotiate at this point. You guys can have an animated film, and I get Crank High Voltage. I am actually.
If we need to do that, like,
if we want to kick out District 9 and put an animated film, I will actually stump for Coraline.
Are y'all good with that?
Clearly, yeah.
Yeah, sure.
Coraline, which unfortunately in the year 2024 has become a problematic fave.
It has?
What's problematic about Coraline?
What's his name? The author.
Oh,
well, same thing with Fantastic Mr. Fox, technically, and if you count Pete Docter's comments about the future of Pixar in there as well, they all suck.
So let's give it to Alan
this is where Dan's argument
comes
in.
Tom Ford's probably been to some Diddy parties.
Yeah. So which one are we kicking out?
I would say there is a 0% chance he hasn't been to some Diddy parties.
Who?
Tom Ford.
Oh, okay. Pete. Well, I don't.
Pete Docter might have.
I'm not
Let's
doing
start that
this.
rumor.
I'm not doing this
Pete
today.
Stop it. It's all just conjecture, by the way. Yeah. It's a joke.
He's joking, folks. I don't want to be sued.
Who's never been to a Diddy party?
Stop it.
We need to stop saying Diddy party.
No.
Okay, so what are we doing? Are we kicking out District 9 for Coraline?
Yes. I mean, I am in favor of that.
It sounds like we are.
Yeah, we're doing it.
Okay. All right. It's funny we didn't put that in the screenplay category, but okay.
Well, I advocated for it.
Well, I know you did, Josh. I know you did. Okay. So District 9's out. Coraline is in. All right. Okay. So our nominees are A Serious Man, Inglourious Bastards, The Hurt Locker, Up in the Air, Avada, Coraline, Where the Wild Things Are, A Single Man, Bright Star, In the Loop. That's a way better lineup, by the way.
Yeah, that's a great lineup.
That's a good lineup.
That's a damn good lineup.
That's pretty good.
Pretty good. I'm gonna put my cards out on the table. I know where Josh is going, so my favorite film of the year is A Single Man, and I think it's a masterpiece, and I think to do that with a debut is pretty goddamn special, and I think Ford not getting a director kind of hurt, but because I think that movie's so brilliant and beautiful. I think Firth is amazing. It's a movie that I watched a couple months ago and it just broke my heart. There's something about these singular portraits, and obviously the idea of being just alone and the loss of said loved one and how to be able to continue life, but then also the yearning and longing for potentially the future of that, and what, can you transfer that love into something else to continue, or does death stop, or does life stop and death begin? And I think it's just a beautiful film. I am not like you, Jay. I'm not a big Nocturnal Animals fan. It's probably because of the fact that I am so extremely high on this movie. So my expectations when I saw that film were astronomically high. I know he's doing different things, and that's a very dirty movie.
Gets here, doesn't in the first 45 seconds.
45 seconds, yes. Mm-hmm. But I'm willing to give that another shot down the road. But this movie, I remember seeing it in 2009, and I was pretty floored by it. And Tom Ford, as much as Spike Jonze, please make more movies. I think that they are both voices that are not around enough, but definitely Ford, because obviously he's got so many other things he's doing. But then just take a break and then go ahead and write and put this thing together and make it first an all-time performance for me. So I will stump for a movie called A Single Man to win this award. But yes, Josh is going with Where the Wild Things Are.
Yeah, I already said that before with the director's spiel, and pretty much copy paste my feelings for this one. Yeah, I love this movie. It's my favorite movie of the year. It's one of my favorite movies of that particular decade. Honestly, I think it's a masterpiece.
It's a damn good movie.
Jay? I'm going to go with Inglourious Bastards. To me, that is kind of the cinematic achievement of the year, just as far as the just middle ground between everything that film can be, from dialogue to music to incredible visuals, camera movement, performances. It's funny,
hell of an
it's
editing job too.
action-packed, it's incredibly well edited. It is just craft to the nines, and a story where I think Tarantino is kind of grappling with the very idea of revenge, kind of through the lens of how it's been represented in film, and then also kind of how film can upend history itself. And that's obviously something that he's been dealing with a lot since then. My pick is Inglourious Basterds.
Dan.
So Dan can crown a winner here.
Or go his own way.
Or cause the podcast to run for 45 more minutes. One or the other. The choice is yours.
I love most of these movies for very different reasons. So it's really difficult actually for me to pick just one, but the one that I would have voted for in 2009 is still the one that I enjoy the most on rewatches, and I have rewatched it a lot over the years, and every time I lose myself in it, and I am so entertained by it all over again, and that is Inglourious Basterds.
Wow. We did it. We did it.
Wow.
Nice being on the right side of history.
Well, you guys wrote the history just like Tarantino.
Yeah, rewriting it.
There we did, ma'am.
Oh my God.
And we didn't have to burn down a cinema to do it.
No, Josh and I are about to go do that. Josh, what do you think?
I know Ryan won't be upset by this one.
I will not be upset by this. I think it's honestly like, this would have been my pick in 2009. Obviously, like I was a much younger man at the time, and like, you know, that movie was like, holy shit, this is everything. If you guys thought I was obsessed about Oppenheimer last year, you should have met me in 2009 with Inglourious Basterds. But yeah, just my sensibilities have changed a little bit and seen that beauty of that beautiful Tom Ford movie. But I don't disagree with the Tarantino film. That is one of his best, and it's also like, for I think our generations, like one of the first times we all got to see it in the theater, his films in the theater. We were seeing a lot of those movies maybe on DVD, or, you know, his older stuff on VHS, and, you know, that was an event. I remember seeing it that year, and I saw it twice in the theater, and both times it was a packed audience, and people did not see the sort of twists or the you know, decisions that he was making coming. And I still think that I mean, like, that's not obviously the point of the film. The point is just this big, like, I think Jay mentioned it, you know, he made an entire revenge kind of saga, and then he's reflecting on that even more in his next film. And it's before he gets a little too much for his own good with like Django, or for some people, not Josh and me, with Hateful Eight. And then, you know, obviously makes another great movie that we'll talk about in a couple retrospectives. But yeah, I don't think it's a bad win at all. I actually think it's, of the films that were nominated outside of A Serious Man, which I thought that's kind of where we were going to go as well too. It makes sense too, because it's one of those movies, and Josh, you can maybe speak to this as well. It's one of those, like Jay talked about, where it meets the art house audience and the commercial audience at the same time. And I think that's just kind of always been the power of Tarantino as years have gone on. It's like, he can, if you want just a simple commercial film, you can go into a Tarantino movie and get all the entertainment out of it. Or if you go into his movies looking for some artistic flourishes and great performances and all that stuff and crafts, you'll find that as well. And I think that's kind of like the intersect of like this historical revisionist kind of stuff that he's been doing.
Yep.
All right. Great work, everybody.
Damn it, Josh. Help me out. I'm just
well, I mean, you know, sure.
I don't think it's a bad win.
You know
At
what?
least
Just
Jones won director, right?
I'm glad that he's just letting us have this.
But also,
the fact that we have both Wild Things and Bright Star in the Best Picture lineup, like, I'll take that.
Yeah, I'm just saying, stop the steal. That's all I'm saying.
Now you sound like me.
Nah. Josh, are you just mad that Crank didn't make it in there after all?
Yes, I'm devastated by that. But you know what? In all honesty, like, I know that I am much cooler on Bastards than a lot of other people are, but it's also not a movie that I hate. I do think it's good overall. I just don't agree with the level of enthusiasm that movie has for a lot of other people. And I don't want to get into it right now because it's a very long conversation and we don't have time for that.
As they say, nobody's perfect.
Yeah, I agree. Right back at you. But yeah, I mean, it's a good movie. I understand why people love it. It's not really for me in that same regard, but I get it. I'm not that mad. Like I said, yeah, the fact that we also gave it to Spike Jonze for director, I'll take that.
Yep. So
it's a cool lineup.
So our winners were In the Loop, adapted screenplay, A Serious Man, an original, Waltz and Merlant for supporting actor and actress, Firth in actor, Sidibe in actress, Spike Jonze in director, and Inglourious Basterds in best picture. Wow. It's pretty spread out by this Academy, I'll tell you that.
I wish the actual Academy would spread it out more like that,
Although, but you know what? Tarantino does not have an Oscar with those results because he is not a producer of Inglourious Basterds.
It's Lawrence Bender.
It's kind of great.
Lawrence Bender's there. Yeah.
So I'll take that.
That'll be a
wow.
Awkward at the party. Irony. Awkward at the parties that night. Be like, I made this shit. What the hell?
Like literally the only one who doesn't win.
Oh, he would be but he'd also be happy that Mark Bowl didn't win. I feel like he likes Joel and Ethan a little bit. So, all right. That is our show. Dan, can you tell everybody where they can find you and all your work on the internet?
Sure can. You can find me on Twitter at Dancin' Dan on Film and on Letterboxd at Dancin' Dan. And you can check out a lot of my writing at AwardsWatch and at Next Best Picture.
Josh Parham.
You can find me on Twitter and Letterboxd at JR Parham, and you can find my work over at Next Best Picture and AwardsWatch.
Jay Ledbetter.
Oh, you can find me scouring the internet for a first edition of the novel Push by Sapphire, as well as on the Director's Watch podcast, on this very podcast feed, where I talk with directors and their films with the great Ryan McQuade.
Who's that?
Yeah, exactly. And Twitter at Mr. J Ledbetter, Letterboxd J Ledbetter. That's it.
You can find me on Twitter, Instagram, Letterboxd, or Ryan McQuade 77. You can find all my work here at awardswatch.com. Like Jay said, if you like podcasts, we have the Director Watch podcast. This week is the end of our Terrence Malick movie series.
Oh, what a time to be alive.
Talking about Hidden Life. If you listen to that show, you will find out what we will be doing on our next series that we'll announce on this show in the following weeks.
Neville Dean and Taylor, Crank.
No, something else. And if you iTunes, Spotify, 5-star reviews, we greatly appreciate it. Also, if you go sign up on the website for the newsletter, it's the great way to get all of the news, reviews, interviews. It's festival season right now. NYFF is wrapping up this week. That festival goes on for 6 months. And then we'll get into Mill Valley and Middleburg and AFI coming up before we start having more of the fall season or the winter season coming up with the final releases of the year. So thank you all so much for coming on. And next week we will be back. We will be talking about Honora, if I'm not mistaken. That will be the conversation for next week. And we will also be talking about our favorite Palme d'Or winners, which should be a fascinating conversation to have next week. I think Josh and Dan are going to be on with me for that one next week. So that'll be a lot of fun. Thank you all so much for listening, and we will see you all next time.